Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the Core Racing Network. Tonight, we finish up the Core GT season with their famous 2-hour double points season finale. We started the season in Belgium at Circuit Zolder, where Dominique Ford got it kicked off exactly the way he wanted to in his title defense with a win. And then we headed to America for Road Atlanta, where his dominance continued, grabbing a second win, but he was not done. We went to the UK for Silverstone, back to the US for Sebring, and then back to South America and Brazil for Interlagos. And he just kept winning the first 5 races of the season, completing the first half of the season sweep. But Interlagos brought with it maybe some winds of change. We've seen John Schwartz come into the picture, seen a unique pit strategy by him that tried to catch them off guard. It was only good enough for a podium, but a podium in his debut nonetheless. And it was, again, a sign of things to change as we headed to Road America. And John Schwartz was able to capture his first win of his career here in the Core GT Series with, again, some fuel strategy that didn't play out for Dominique Ford and James Pierce, but it did pay off for John Schwartz. Then we headed to the absolutely rain-soaked Suzuka in Japan, and John Schwartz grabbed his second win in a row. Monza, we've seen a return of Mason Smith to the top step of the podium. It took what seemed like just forever to see that 6 back on the top step, but he got it done at the Palace of Speed in Italy. And then last week, another rain-soaked race in Belgium, this time at Spa, and it was a unique race for sure. But it's seen John Schwartz grab his 3rd win in his career, and really just a heck of a start to his career, and obviously graduating now out and into the gold division. So he's officially in the gold division for this final race. But the point standings themselves pretty much locked up for the gold, even though there's double points on the line. Mathematically, there's still a chance, but I think it's pretty much all locked up. But we'll get to that here in a bit. Carl Hamwork joined in the booth by Tyler Skozen one more time this season. 2 hours on tap here tonight. Man, it's bittersweet when you come to these finales here, Tyler. It's great that we get this 2-hour big event at the end of the season, but it also means that the season's coming to an end.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else there is to say, really. We've had a great season up to this point. So many good races, so many great finishes, so much. I mean, for my sake, I love all the strategy that we've had. The good thing is we're probably going to hopefully see some more of that today, now that the race is double the length, 2 hours long. But yeah, I mean, we've had so much good go on this season. There's the next season coming up very shortly. So why not? Let's cap this one off, hopefully with a bang, and we'll see what these drivers can do. I love Red Bull Ring. This will be fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big fan. I mean, we talked about all the tracks that they'd Jimmy, as Jimmy's going to be out there on the track, and wish you luck out there, buddy. I know it's everybody's kind of starting to gear up for the Daytona 24, but Jimmy, this is kind of a little bit of a test. I mean, it's kind of a typical type of stint for you guys as drivers out there, being a 2-hour stint out there. So I mean, it's a complete race after 2 hours, but you at least kind of maybe feel a little bit more in your element here for endurance wise.
Yeah, definitely for the drivers that like the little longer runs like I do myself. I kind of poke at a lot of the guys every now and then, but no, it's going to be tricky out here. It gets slick, you can bring up your tires, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So it's just everybody's got to be careful. The off tracks are a little bit crazy here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a track that there's not really much to it. It's not really that difficult of a track compared to the rest of the schedule, but it gets you maybe a little bit too much in the comfort zone, as me and you talked about before, where you tend to kind of really reach those track limits and go over them real quickly, and you get one too many track limits here, and you're going to be going through for a pass-through penalty, and it's definitely going to hurt your race. But we'll wish you luck out there, and you never know, maybe we'll get to talk to you after the race.
Hey, you never know. We're going to try our best.
All right, buddy. So, Tyler, we get a nice clean race here. I think that is one of the biggest points, and probably one of the biggest breathers for these drivers, as they don't have to deal with any kind of rain. There was a little bit of fog here early in the morning at Red Bull Ring, but you see it's pretty much lifting, and we're going to have a nice day here for this 2-hour double points finale. We'll take a look at the point standings as we mentioned before, and you see in the overall and the gold, pretty much a lockdown for Dominique Ford, 43 points ahead of Mason Smith, and 97 ahead of Nick Terrell. But over in the silver and the bronze, everything is up for grabs here, as it is Nathan Nickerson in the lead by 6 points only over Braden Carlson. Jesse Francisco leads the bronze division by 9 points over Tim Thompson, 16 over Joshua Betts. So it's really anybody's game, and anything is on the table here, and it's kind of tough to predict and try and figure out what can really play out because the 2 drop races on the season. But either way, Tyler, we're set for one good one here tonight.
Yeah, we sure are. I mean, all the drivers that we expect to be up front are up front. Even looking at the lap times, it's all good. They all qualify pretty close, all on top of each other in lap time. I mean, I'm looking from 13th to 17th. They ran a difference of, I'm trying to do math, 8/100ths of a second, and at a fairly big racetrack, not that huge, but at a racetrack like this, even a difference like that is pretty unbelievable. So yeah, I think we're set up for a good one. Should be a lot of fun. We'll keep an eye on some factors that I'll point out later in the race, but yeah, we'll see how they do on this opening laps, I should say.
Yeah, it's a track that, again, it's not that difficult, but to be fast here, you have to tempt those track limits. You have to tempt those those times where you can get off track and get those penalties. And of course, you get a penalty in qualifying, it's not going to count that time. But it's no surprise when we took a look at the qualifying results here that pretty much all the gold drivers at the front, the silver drivers are in the middle, and the bronze drivers are towards the back of the pack, because it really kind of delineates the drivers here for sure. So we'll take a look at those qualifying results here tonight. And on the pole, if it will it up here. Doesn't want to agree with me. There we go. So on the pole here tonight is going to be Dominique Ford with a 129.579 at Mason Smith, Ricky Renner, Kelly Pointer, Jonathan Schwartz for your top 5, John Nobinger, Nick Terrell, Dave Tilford, Nathan Nickerson, Braden Carlson going to round out your top 10. Jimmy Covert, Eli Brandel, Tyler Kokeko, Jesse Francisco, Josh Betts for the top 15, Brendan Domain, Alan Gullison, Jake Jackson, Alex Jaspers, Eric Martin for your top 20, and then rounding out your field is going to be James Molyneux, John Crane, Terry Jansen, and Alexander Hamrick. And I know the 1 hour of practice / qualifying here, the open qualifying, has certainly been something that's been discussed and talked about and debated about all throughout the season here. It's something that we changed up for this season, and it's going to be going back to the normal format for next season. But it's given a chance to all these drivers to at least get in a lap. I mean, there's so many times where you only have, 10, 15 minutes, whatever the qualifying is. If you mess up one or two of those laps, you're not getting a lap in, plain and simple. And you could have some really good guys starting at the back of the pack, but the 1 hour here kind of, really sets the field probably the way it should be.
Yeah, and one of the things that, at least that I've done at a racetrack similar to this, and sometimes at this track, even though I don't run here that often, because it's so tightly compact a little bit, I think it's important to really try to get as much track position as you can, as early as you can. Obviously, it's a little different here because this race is 2 hours long, so if you lose track position, you got plenty of time to get it back, but you can easily make a mistake here, and you want to limit those mistakes as much as possible. And it's just it seems like a simple racetrack, but there's so many tiny details that you can make one minor slip up, and it can either ruin your whole lap or it can even ruin your whole race. So again, we'll talk about that throughout the broadcast. Some parts of this racetrack that could be easy for some of these drivers, could be difficult, and it'll all continue to change as temp changes a little bit. Once debris gets on the racetrack, that'll be something I'll point out later as well. But yeah, pretty stacked field, I'd say, where we got 24 drivers, it looks like here, so should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, you see the track map. There's a lot of straightaways here and a lot of good opportunities to pass, and it's really just, in my opinion, a really good track to finish on. Because it's nothing too crazy. You can certainly set up passes if you're a faster driver, but you take a look at that top left turn number 3 there, known as Remus, is one of the toughest corners here on the track, because it's a very, very tight turn to the right before you head down at the backstretch there. At the end of that straightaway, Schlusskolde is a bit tough too, because it kind of almost seems like it's off camera when you're getting into that corner, and trying to get that thing to rotate to the inside could be a little bit tough. But the section right here at the end, Rins and Red Bull Mobile, very tough as well. But we're going to see how these drivers can handle it here tonight. Pace car is off. We're getting ready for 2 hours of core GT action.
Green flag.
As Marty blocks the field there with the green flag, and now we are racing here at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a check up there on the inside. They look like they're going 3 wide in the back, but it looks like they eventually sort themselves out. Now it's pretty double file, a little bit loose there for cars that are coming off of the curbs there as well. Pretty clean all through turn 1, really impressive. But now as they'll head up the hill into turn 2, you can see Leader Dominique Ford trying to break the draft a little bit from Mason Smith in P2. It's a heavy braking zone, so we'll see drivers can get the cars slowed down. Looks like they are all doing pretty good at that so far. And then it'll be all about the exit. One car in the back, a little slow. John Crane, I believe, and he gets it back going. So yeah, pretty good start overall here from all these drivers.
So you move down into the inside, very late move down the inside of the Schlusskolde, but gonna pay off there. As man, it's just the laps click off very quick here, and again, it's a 2-hour race, so the laps really don't matter. But when it comes to kind of getting in a groove, it's nice when you have a track like this that doesn't have that many corners, and it's not that long of a lap. You can really kind of get in a groove a little bit quicker than some other tracks. And you need to, because this track here is all about getting in a groove. It's all about hitting those marks, and it's really difficult to try and figure out the extent that you can get off the track here. And you see these cars 4 tires off the track. That is legal. That is legal right there in between Rint and Red Bull Mobile there for the final couple of the corners of the lap right there. It's not something you're used to. There's not that many tracks that allow you to get 4 tires off the track at any point. But here, you need to, because you need to keep up as much pace and really kind of set up the exit through that last corner, because it's actually down that front stretch, which is one of the longer straightaways here, and speed kills. You need speed getting out of these corners.
Yeah, and that's something that I've kind of figured out the more I've done practice laps here. Like I said, you don't want to get intimidated with how simple the track map makes the racetrack look. It's not as easy as you think. It's all about, like what you said there, with how the car, it's all about car handling, really. If your car can do really well on exits, that's where most most of your speed is probably going to come from, because most of the cars that I've driven, I've tried even stock cars around this place. It's not, that's a difficult task to complete. But yeah, the exits here are kind of narrow, so once you get onto those curves, it can really upset the car a little bit, especially the final turn, which is the turn that I would say is the most tricky because of how quick it comes up and then how deep that elevation changes, kind of going downhill. Then it kind of picks back uphill just as you go up the corner a little bit, so it's a little bit tricky there. You're going to see drivers probably put 4 tires off, behind that curve multiple times in this race on that corner, but still looks like everybody is run smooth, completing all the laps. Really good so far.
Taking a ride on board here with Dominic Ford as he goes through turn 1 at Nicky Lauda curve, heading down the straightaway down to turn number 3, known as Remus. Hard turn, and all the way down to at least second gear. Sometimes these drivers will even grab first gear just to get that thing rotated through the corner, where we head down the backstretch, a long straightaway here, and a good chance we can get a good run out of Remus to make a pass down here into Schlussgold, which is turn number 4. Leads into turn number 5 here, looping all the way around before you head into Roush, and this is another one where it's kind of a really later apex than you expect, and then you got to drift all the way out here, use up the curb as much as possible, dip it in hard into Worth, all the way on the curb there you see from Ford, and then into Worth number 2, same thing, drift it out there, let the car eat as much as it can, and then here you want to get on that curb to really kind of open up the entry here into Rin, and then all the way drifting out, four tires off the track, grab that curb just a little bit, drift it all the way out here. All this is legal, getting those tires off the track. It's close. It's close to being an off track and getting some penalties. And again, these drivers don't exactly have a lot of X to work with, especially for a 2-hour race here tonight. But so far so good. No major incidents here. We'll take a look back as we got a couple incidents that happened on the first lap. This is in the turn number 1. You see 3 wide at the back there, and just a little bit of an off track here from Abandoned Domain. Nothing too crazy there, as we already seen here. This is the only incident that we have marked as a crash via SDK, but this was just John Crane slowing down, getting into the corner here, just kind of letting everybody go by. Ricky Renner certainly one to have his issues on the first couple laps of the race, let's just say, but he's going to make it through lap number 1 pretty cleanly as well. Looks like just recently we might have had a bit of an issue here for Eric Martin.
I will say there was an incident that I just saw as well. It looked to have involved Josh Betts. Trying to find the exact incident.
Right here, Eric Martin getting sideways out of Schlussgold, and looks like he's going to get it off the track at least.
Oh yeah, right there.
So everybody gets on by. Other than that, a nice, clean start to the race, and it's what we want to see here for this finale. We want them to settle it on the track. Don't want to have any kind of issues. Another thing that was changed was we used to have a potential of a full course yellow if somebody were to tow back to pit lane, but that is off the table this season, and going forward for the time being, there's not going to be any kind of full course yellows. It is all going to be local cautions only, but right now it's a nice little train here on the backstretch. Dominic Ford leads the way, Mason Smith, Ricky Renner, John Schwartz, and Kelly Pointer for your top 5. Dave Tilford, Nick Terrell, John Nominger, Nathan Nickerson, and Braden Carlson for your top 10. But all so far running nice and clean. We still got 24 cars on the track, 7 minutes in.
Yeah, pretty much like you just said there. It looks like the top 12 currently on the racetrack were all qualified in the top 12, so not much movement within those positions, but a little bit of movement in the back as well here. One thing that I really want to point out for these drivers is some of that came out within the new update on iRacing, and that's the amount of debris that you're going to see on the racetrack.
And that's what we just seen right there on the camera view. All kinds of rocks and dust getting kicked up.
Yeah, one of the corners, I believe it's going to be turns 7 and 8, where you're going to see all those drivers who kind of run a little bit wide on the right side, and they'll be on the sand pit. I'm following the leaders right now. They're just making their way up to turn 2, I believe, at the moment. So they're going to be getting to those corners, so we'll look to see what it's like for them. But like I said, with this new update, you're going to see so much sand and pebbles that were on the off the racetrack, and if a driver goes and touches those at any point, you know, they could drag those right onto the racetrack with them as well. And we kind of saw that as they went into the heavy braking zone up in turn 2. You can see as the leaders come up to these corners, here's all these sand pits to the left. You can see a little bit of kick dust there from Dominique Ford, and as he'll make that left turn into turn 6. He's got that wide arc right now. Not much here to be worried about. You're not going to really run wide here, but here, once you get on those curves, you can see they kind of hit it right there. And then once they get it, it's on their tires. They're basically dragging it with them the whole time, and they're basically doing all the way until they get into right at turn 9 up there. So that's going to be interesting to see how the drivers are going to handle this. As of right now, there's no main issues. We haven't seen any right now, but maybe once cars continue to, you know, wear out a little bit, tires wear out, maybe they won't be able to handle those as much as they normally would. So that'll be something to definitely focus on as we go on. I mean, I don't really see it clearing any time soon. Drivers are going to keep running wide like that to get the best arc entry that they could. But yeah, we'll be curious. We'll see what any drivers do there when it comes to those.
Well, I think what's going to be interesting is if and when, I know iRacing said that when it comes to the debris, it can affect the grip level of the tires, and it'll feel like you're out there kind of on the marbles. But if they ever start instituting punctures, I think it's probably it's going to be great for us in the broadcast. Drivers are going to hate it. I mean, you might as well just start implementing random mechanical failures too, and just really mess with their minds.
I've been pleading for, as much as that would suck, that's been something that I've actually wondered for a long time. That just makes things so much more random and entertaining. I mean, I hope they add something like that in the future, but I mean, for now, I think all these added debris portions is really cool. But, you know, maybe they will add punctures. I don't know. That'll make things even more fun.
One for us. Let's clear that up.
Yes,
certainly us.
Other people that are watching, for them, they're gonna rethink how they drive these racetracks if that were to happen.
We'll pass for third place. We'll show you how it took place here as Jonathan Schwartz sets up the pass here on Ricky Renner, goes around the outside, and Renner just allows him to get in there, going into Ren. So Schwartz is now up to third place, but like Tyler mentioned, not too many big movers one way or the other. The biggest moves right now in the race: Alan Gullison up 3 spots, James Molyneux up 3 spots, Terry Jansen up 3 spots, and then the ones that are falling back here a little bit. You got Kokeko has lost 3 spots, but he's slowly starting to move his way back up through the field. Joshua Betts has lost 7, and Eric Martin has lost 4. But all in all, I mean, it's pretty much just been steady here, and to me it's not a surprise with this longer race here tonight. Maybe just a little bit of calmness and patience by these drivers here in the early running. Surely we know once we get to that first pit stop, that's when it's going to shake up a bit.
Yeah, and one of the drivers that already showed the patience right there was Ricky Renner as he was getting passed by Jonathan Schwartz for P3. I mean, he saw that Jonathan has a faster car. He was basically on his bumper. Up until that point, he ended up getting by him. And as you can see, he's kind of starting to pull away from him a little bit here ever since he got by. But yeah, once he saw he had the run, he basically pulled over, gave him the spot, and let him run down the leaders, and maybe something will happen from there. So very good patience so far from Ricky Renner that I've seen. I'm sure we'll see many more drivers continue to do this. I'm sure Mason Smith might be doing that as well. He might be doing a little bit of fuel saving there with Dom just in front of him there. They seem like they're running fairly equal lap times between the leaders, but we'll see what Jonathan Schwartz does when he gets to the front.
Did have a bit of an incident towards the back. 28 of Terry Jansen getting sideways. Cream gets into him. We'll take a look at it one more time here, as it looks like it cost the front end of John Crane just a little bit after this. Heading into Schlichgold, and kind of the same thing. The 28's back end just steps out a little bit. Crane gets tagged from behind, and it's Jansen in the front as well. And going through the corner here, you'll see right there. You see the might have been the back end flying off the corner. Yeah, the rear bumper falling off of that Acura. So definitely going to need some repairs for the number 11 once he gets his pit stop, in which he did end up coming in that very next lap. So an early pit stop here for the 11, but maybe not necessarily out of it just yet, because all these drivers are going to have to make, I would say, a minimum of 2 pit stops, possibly even 3 here tonight.
Yeah, that kind of incident there is something that, I mean, we've already seen it now almost 3 times pretty much. And I continue to see that a little bit. That kind of incident with Terry Jansen, that's such a helpless feeling when you think you made the corner fine, but it could be as simple as maybe missing your entry just a little bit, or maybe downshifting at the wrong time. All those kind of things can just basically make the car jump sideways on you, not really expecting it. You think you got it, but it just feels like you're floating on air pretty much is what happens. So you don't see it coming, especially, and then once it actually happens, there's almost no saving it. So tough incident early there. Terry Jansen looks like he's kind of lost quite a bit of time there ever since that happened. It seems like the car is not quite the same for him. And then John Crane on pit road as well. We'll see how that goes for him. Hopefully we don't see any of that up front right now, but everybody's still running pretty well.
Looks like Jansen is going to bring the 28 into pit lane, maybe to get some repairs done as well.
No, maybe not.
Yep, like that for a second, looked like he was going to pit lane, but yeah, maybe not. I think he just lost it maybe in just looking at the track map. But good little battle here in the back half of the top 10, as you got Nathan Nickerson in 9th, Braden Carlson in 10th, in 10th, and then Jimmy Covert right behind them as well. A little 3-car battle here. And I mean, really the trouble spot so far, we've seen a couple of drivers, like we just seen with Terry Jansen, losing it there in Schlichgold and turn number 4. It just seems like it's a bit of a trouble spot here for the drivers, so we'll certainly keep an eye on that. But other than that, the drivers handling this track pretty well. It's a track that's not that difficult to get around. Certainly a lot more difficult to master and to really nail those lap times and get some really good lap times here. But you're certainly seeing that out of our top drivers. Dominique Ford, Mason Smith, Jonathan Schwartz, Ricky Renner, and Kelly Pointer for your top 5. Tilford, Terrell, Nominger, Nickerson, and Carlson for your top 10, as we are already 15 minutes into this thing. So, I mean, it's clicking by here pretty quickly, as this is, again, the last race of the season and last race for Core altogether, officially for series. But again, we got a couple special events coming up. This weekend we got an event coming up. It's not going to be broadcasted, but next weekend is going to be the King of Core playoffs, and then the following weekend is going to be the Drivers' Cup, and both those will be broadcasted there. And they're both just kind of fun events, nothing too crazy on the line for either of them. But we do got a couple other special events that CRN is going to be covering here, so stay tuned, as this Saturday is going to be a special event that we're putting on. Just trying to get the details while I'm talking here, but it's going to be for through the Virtual Velocity Racing through VVR. They're putting on a special event, a Christmas race that is going to be the ARCAs at Michigan, and it should be a good size field. It looks like there's already 35, almost 40 cars set up for that one. Some nice prizes on the line there as well, and ultimately just a kind of a one-off fun event for the guys over there. That's being put on by Tim Lee, the guy behind VVR. And then we got another special event on Monday night, which is an iRacing charity event that's going to benefit the NASCAR Hall of Fame Foundation. And that currently is set to be the next gens at Talladega. There's discussions that possibly the vehicle may change, but it's looking like it's probably going to be the next gens at Talladega for 100 laps. $10 to enter that one. And for every $20 donation, it will bring a student in need into the NASCAR Hall of Fame for a once-in-a-lifetime learning experience. So, some pretty awesome stuff that we're getting to be a part of here on CRN and getting to put out there, and hopefully, raising some funds and some awareness for some of these foundations as well. But once again, we got to finish this one out first. This is the Core GT Series at round number 10, last race of the season. Double the length, double the points, and I'm sure double the angst, but I think you're seeing, again, the drivers just being a little bit cautious here so far. Nothing too crazy. Definitely don't want to show their cards just yet, but I think there's a lot of drivers just going to hold on at some pace.
Yeah, I mean, drivers continuing to run well. I mean, I find it funny that Dom and Mason have basically not had any difference in gap between them, so you could definitely think that, they're doing their usual, saving a little bit of fuel up front right now. Like you mentioned earlier, 2, maybe 3 pit stops here. We'll see what these guys do. It'll all probably depend on when they decide to make their first pit stop. So it'll be interesting to see who decides to bring it in first. Usually we like to see guys like Mason or Ricky or Jonathan bring it in first. Sometimes Dom likes to run a lap or 2 longer just to, have as least amount of fuel in the last pit stop as he can. So we'll see what he does once he comes out of pit road. If he decides to get behind Mason and save some fuel that way, it'll be interesting to see as they begin to catch their first lap car, which I believe, yes, is John Crane. He'll go a lap down. Terry Jansen's still about 20-something seconds up the road, so a little bit to go there right now. But yeah, a little bit single file so far. Jonathan has basically managed the same gap he's had since he got past Ricky. He's fallen back a little bit. Hill Pointer trying to catch Ricky there for P4, and then Dave Topher running pretty well in 6th place up 2 spots from qualifying.
Back here at the battle, once again, the back half of the top 10 still pretty much staying the same. You got Nathan Nickerson in 8th, John Crane now in 9th, Brandon Carlson in 10th, and then Jimmy Covert in 11th. All under about 1.5 seconds in between them. This is the closest battle that we have with multiple cars on the track. Dominic Ford has had a half a second lead pretty much this entire race on Mason Smith, and I think they're just kind of working the teammate angle there and trying to do what they can to stretch out this lead, as it's slightly growing on Jonathan Schwartz, the lead that they have on 3rd place right now at 1.8 seconds back to Schwartz. So nothing too crazy for sure, and nothing that can't be made up on one really good pit stop here. Then another 2 seconds back to Ricky Renner in 4th place, and then 1.2 back to Kelly Pointer in 5th place. But again, this is the closest battle as John Crane dives it into Schlussgord. Looked like he was going to try and make a move there on Nickerson, but the hold back into line right now. And you got to wonder how long Brandon Carlson is going to stick around here, because Carlson certainly needs to pick up some points here on Nickerson to try and get this Silver Division Championship. And right now he is 3rd in line here in this little tandem here. But again, I feel like everyone is just waiting right now and just playing it out here. And like you said, maybe trying to save some fuel for that first pit stop and maybe go a lap or 2 longer than everybody else, because pit stops are going to be big here. Like, it's not just going to be 1 pit stop here tonight. It's going to be probably 3. I mean, from what I'm gathering, what I'm thinking, I think it's going to be 3 pit stops here tonight. So you want that last pit stop to be as short as possible. You want to take the least amount of fuel in that last pit stop. So these first 2 runs here, you want to try and stretch them out as far as you can, so you can take a short pit stop, and maybe that could be the time where you gain on everybody else in the field.
Yeah, that's the thing to think about. But outside of just having a normal pit stop, the other thing that we mentioned, I believe it was at the very beginning of this race, is the off tracks. And we've seen drivers get off tracks before get passed through penalties or stop and goes or whatever it is. So that'll require an additional pit stop if you do get too many. And again, this is a racetrack where you can easily get an off track, especially up in turn 1. That's where you can get the most off tracks, because you think you're just going to go wide and get a fast entry to the corner and try to get the best arc off. But even just a tiny bit off, and you'll get that 1X. And got to be careful with all that going on. I mean, again, it's a long race, so you do not want to pile up those off tracks and get one penalty. My goodness, even if multiple things go wrong, get another one. So you got to be definitely careful with that. But we'll see when they eventually bring it down pit roads. It looks like some of them are bringing it down pit road now. Bringing Carlson, bringing it in, Nathan as well, and Kelly Pointer.
Yeah, and Eli Brandel also coming into the pits this lap. And just to kind of dive into that a little bit more and kind of explain the situation here with off tracks and penalties. Typically, when a driver gets off track, when they just exceed the track limits here, they'll get 1X. If they go a little bit too far off, or maybe cut a corner or something like that, they could get the 1X and a slowdown penalty that they'll have to serve. But ultimately, on off track, they're going to get 1X. If they have a loss of control, typically that's a 2X. If they have a car contact with somebody else, that's usually at least a 2, sometimes a 4X. But that all adds up. And in a normal race for these guys out here, in a 1-hour race, they get 17X before they have to serve a drive-through penalty. It's up a little bit here for the 2-hour race. It's up to 25, but as soon as they get that 25X, they need to come in and do a drive-through penalty, and that is just a long, slow drive-through pit lane. That is just, it hurts because you are losing time hand over fist driving through that pit lane for just getting too many X's. But then after 25, you only get another 10X to play with. So it's 25X and a little leeway for the first penalty, but then every 10X after that, they have to serve another drive-through penalty. So yeah, I mean, you want to try and utilize as much of this track as possible. And I know the drivers a lot of time, quote, well, you paid for the whole thing, you might as well use it. Use a little bit too much, and it's going to come back and bite you.
You see, the thing is, in iRacing, you buy the track to use as much as you can, but those are limits. In real life, you can go off track without, getting an X. That's not really a thing in real life racing, but still, I mean, if you want to perfect as much racing skill as possible and be as fast as you can on the exact racing surface, this is the best way to test that right now. So, seeing all these drivers trying to succeed with this stuff is going to be fun to continue to watch as drivers are coming off of pit road. I'm watching Jonathan Schwartz just coming off the pit road, now getting side by side with Kelly Pointer right here for, I believe this would be 3rd place at the moment. So it was a good pit stop by Kelly, but Jonathan's going to get a good entry, but the switch over, he's going to have the preferred line as they head into turn number 4 there. So we'll see how this settles out. It looks like the additional cars, Mason Smith's quite up the road, so not much worry there. But to the inside, it's going to be Kelly completing the pass on Jonathan Schwartz. We'll see if he can have any counterattack, but it does not seem like he will. So good run over there for Kelly to get past, and now we just wait for Dominique Ford, who's on pit road right
bit
now.
of a slide there from Schwartz, as that was a good collection there in Roush by Schwartz there. But yeah, I mean, Kelly Pointer pitted 1 lap earlier, so he's got the benefit of those tires already being warmed up and already up to temperature. But tires is something that we haven't talked about. Typically, we see these drivers in their 1-hour races. Sometimes they'll take 2 tires, depending on if the track is clockwise or counterclockwise. They'll take 2 tires because they have that amount of time in pit lane while they're getting fuel anyway. So it's kind of, why not? Since you're in there, but you have the time to do it, just grab those 2 tires. But here in this race, where it's multiple pit stops and it's 2 hours long, how do you play it out? Do you take two right or 2 left sides your first pit stop, and then 2 right sides the second pit stop? Do you just sacrifice and take all 4, later on in the race, so you have a full clean car at the end? There's certainly some strategy when it comes to what you're going to do, because you can't just keep taking left sides every time, or it's going to get a little snappy when you go around those right-hand corners.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough to tell. So I'm kind of looking at Dominique Ford, who's been obviously the fastest car. He's led every lap up to this point. But I'm looking at his lap times just to compare and see what the tires are like. So the first lap he ran, which was lap 2 up to full pace, he ran a 130.320. And his last fastest lap before he brought it down pit road. He ran a 1:30.244, so he was about 8/100ths quicker than he was on his first lap up to speed, and he ran his fastest lap at 1:29.97 or 998 on lap 7, basically in the middle of that run. So for Dom, it didn't seem like he has any tire issues whatsoever. They were consistent throughout that whole run there. Kind of looking at Mason Smith, who's now on his back bumper, who kind of ran a similar story. He must have had some incidents because his last few laps were a little bit slower for him. But it looks like, hold on, I'm just trying to tell. Yeah, since he came to pit road, his first fastest lap was a 1:30.42, and then right before he came to the pits, it was 1:30.3. So he also ran that time about a 10th quicker. So it doesn't seem like he has any tire worries as well. But once the run continues to go on, I mean, it's probably not going to stay as confined as that. So I'm sure that at some point they'll take multiple tires. But I mean, at this point, if they're that consistent, I mean, they may have not even taken tires.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm trying to look at and trying to figure out here. We take a look at the total lap times here, and realistically, actually, we'll take a look at the pit times by themselves, and you see for your leaders there for the top 4 for Ford, Smith, Renner, and Pointer, all in the 18-second range. So 18-second pit stops for all 4 of them. And then you look at Jonathan Schwartz, 22 seconds. It's not because of a penalty. That is a different strategy. So that is possibly taking those extra 2 tires. Maybe he took 4 tires on this first pit stop, and maybe electing to go with maybe 2 tires the rest of the race, or what the case is, because you figure like we said, probably going to be a 3 pit stop race. Now if you're putting me behind the wheel of the race here, and you're telling me, you're asking me what strategy I want to run, I'm probably going to take 4 tires on that first pit stop, take 2 on that second pit stop, and then not take any of that third, because that third pit stop should be shorter. It should just be a gas and go. It should be a shorter pit stop that you're not going to want to sit around waiting for tires, and you're going to have to just double stint those tires all the way to the end. So, I mean, you can take 2 and then 4, or 4 and then 2, but I think that's kind of going to be my strategy and how I want to play it out. Maybe it's better off taking 2 that first pit stop and then taking 4 for the second one, and taking a little bit longer of that second pit stop, because those are the ones you're going to run all the way to the end. So again, it's strategizing and who's going to have the right chess moves at the right time. But currently it is Ford, Smith, Renner, Pointer, and Schwartz for your top 5. Then you got Tilford, Terrell, Nickerson, Carlson, and Covert for your top 10. But I mean, you take a look at the overall, and it's something that we haven't really seen much this season, but all the gold drivers are in the top 7, and then you look down a little bit towards the middle of the order, and majority of the silver drivers are kind of the next set of drivers, and then you got the bronze towards the back. It's just I mean, it's our formula is working in core for sure, and showing where the drivers should be. But it's funny. Normally we have a silver or a bronze kind of sprinkled up there in the mix with the gold drivers. But pretty cool to see these 7 gold drivers all up there at the front going at it.
Are you sure each class doesn't have spec race cars? I'm just making sure if that's the case.
Yeah, the gold has open setups out here tonight.
Oh,
and everybody,
gotcha. That makes sense as to why they're running so much better. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, the other thing that I wanted to point out, especially when it came to the tire wear that you were talking about earlier, when drivers decide to take their tires and when not to, or take 2, that's all driver preference. But the other thing that you want to point out, and that can really, really affect your strategy, probably for the worst, is not just how hard you're driving, but now with this new update and all the debris and all that lays on the racetrack, you don't want to run into the marbles too much, because apparently, I mean, if this does sincerely affect the way tire grips handle differently, whoa, was a car way off that went behind. That could depend on how you drive the racetrack. It looked like it was Alex Hamrick. That was kind of odd. He was kind of putting some blocks on Mason Smith in second place.
Take a look back and see what happened here.
No,
Yeah, it's going a bit wide there.
That'll bring debris onto the racetrack. racetrack.
And yeah, you see all those rocks getting kicked out right onto the racing line as well. So we'll see if that affects any of the drivers going through there.
But yeah, like I was saying, you know, something like that, if you run wide at one point, I want to see if, because up this corner, up into turn 3, that's where I see a lot of the marbles, especially, you know, when you're not in the racing move. You can see how dark a specific line on the racetrack is. That tells you where the racing move is. That's where all the rubber's being laid down. That's where you know all the drivers are going to be running consistently. And I mean, the lighter it is, that means there's just no rubber out there. Drivers aren't running that far wide. And that's why you see all those marbles and pieces of rubber just sitting out there. And I mean, once that collects onto your tires, that can affect the handling pretty massively. And, you know, that could change your whole pit strategy if you even hit that maybe, I don't know, 2-3 times, and all of a sudden your tires go way down in performance. That might affect your whole strategy for the rest of the race.
Watching a pretty good battle right now inside the top 5 as Ricky Renner in 3rd place, Jonathan Schwartz in 4th, and then Kelly Pointer in 5th. As these guys are locked nose to tail, going through traffic here and doing a good job, making it through there. Lap traffic doing a good job as well, giving them the space to get on by. But it seems like now those tires have come into a good temperature and a good pressure. That 199 is starting to come alive again. And we see that in the first one. We see him just kind of hang back there in 5th place for a while and then slowly work his way up and get up into the top 3. You're starting to see it here again. But meanwhile, out in front, it is a sizable gap. It's only 1 second in between Dominic Ford and Mason Smith, but then it is another, was it 7 seconds back to Ricky Renner in this battle that we see for 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, I mean, that just, now maybe the top 2 are the ones on the spec cars, and then the rest are all, you know, doing their own thing.
Which does make sense because, I mean, you know, the top 3 right now are all in Acura as a bit of a wide exit there from Ricky Renner is going to give the line to Jonathan Schwartz. He's going to move himself into 3rd. But yeah, the top 3 were in the Acura as Ford, Smith, and Renner, and the new toy out there, the Acura NSX GT3. And it looks like we got James Molyneux, John Crane, Alexander Hamrick, and Josh Betts also in the Acura out here tonight. But I'm really surprised. I'm surprised we didn't see more of them out here.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing the difference in performance right now, but I mean, it's the last race of the season. Most drivers are probably not, you know, willing to take any risks if there were any opportunity. I mean, like you mentioned, I mean, the top battle, you know, overall in the gold class, I mean, looks pretty set in stone. The silver class is a little different. I just want to check to see the exact cars that everyone seems to be running right now. I'm trying to see if anybody's in the Acura. The Bryn Carlson's in the Porsche.
Yeah, the ones I mentioned are in the Acura. We got looks like we got Schwartz, Nickerson, Carlson, Jaspers, Gullison, and Martin in the Porsche. We got 7 more drivers that are running in the McLaren, and then a few running in the Corvette, and then Tyler Kokeko running in the BMW. But that's it. Just about was it 5 different manufacturers out of the 10 represented here tonight. So yeah, it's not just, you know, how well you do in the race. You kind of have to do your homework sometimes. You know, these drivers have the ability to switch to whatever cars they want for each race. There's no lockdown. It was talked about a couple times. It was talked about this season. It was talked about even going in for next season. If we want to force the drivers to pick one vehicle, one manufacturer, and run that for the season, but they prefer to kind of jump around and choose whatever cars they want weekly, and it's their prerogative. I mean, you know, if they have all the cars, they bought them all, they want to test them all out. It's, you know, if they have the time to do that, they can certainly do that. And you're seeing that right here, I think, with just 5 of the 10 cars being out there. The fact that, you know, the Ferrari's not out there, the Mercedes isn't out there, Lamborghini not out there, the Ford's not out there. You got to find the right car, the right fit for the track. Sometimes it's the one that feels good to you. Sometimes you just have to suck it up and figure out how to drive it because it's the car to run.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, for me, I don't have a preference on any car, really. I just drive whatever I think is the fastest. Whatever else is running, like I would do whatever Don is doing right now. But yeah, I mean, it's all driver preference. Sports cars they think they're the same, but they all drive really different. Some cars are maybe a little bit more loose when way you drive it. Some are a little bit more tight. It's all the driver preference thing. I'm a driver who prefers the loose setup or loose race car, whatever it is. Because then that way, I mean, it's quick, but then you can also work on it to get it to the liking that you enjoy. Maybe it's a little too loose and you can tighten it up just a little bit, but naturally, everyone else will have a car that they prefer.
So the driving style that you prefer is ovals, and it looks like we're going to see you out on the track for next season for the Core Xfinity Series. So what are you what are you looking forward to? What are your goals going into the season? I mean, I'm sure you've kind of peeked in there and seen the type of talent and the type of class that the Core Xfinity has provided the last couple seasons here. But what are you kind of looking to get in there and accomplish for your first season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it tremendously. Like you said, I've enjoyed driving ovals pretty much my whole career on iRacing. Anytime I were to get behind a race car, it was always be on an oval. I've never really had the professional teacher that I wanted, but I've always managed to figure it out on my own, watch videos and all that. But driving an Xfinity car is probably one of my favorite cars to drive on the surface. They're just so unpredictable sometimes, but you need so much driver skill and talent to wheel those things. And like you said, there's so much good talent in the Core Xfinity Series right now, and it looks like next season is going to be pretty stacked on competition. So schedule looks really cool. It's going to be long and enduring. It's challenging. It's something that every race car driver would love to see, just any type of challenge. But yeah, I mean, it's variation. It's going to go out. It's going to go on for a while. I can't wait. I don't know if I had specifically any goals, really. I mean, I see myself to be pretty competitive in that series, so I guess really the ultimate goal would be to win multiple races and contend for a championship somehow. But again, I mean, it might not be as easy as I think once I get out on the racetrack, but we'll check it out. It'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get behind the wheel.
Yeah, and right now the entries are really starting to pile in. I mean, over 30 drivers already signed up for next season. It's going to end up being capped at 40. So if you're a driver out there looking to get into the Core Xfinity Series, the first 40 paid drivers are going to be locked in and guaranteed to run weekly. And then everybody after that, it'll be half price, but you'll be put on a waiting list, and it'll be in order. So you can show up every week, and if there's less than 40 cars, then you'll be allowed to race in that week's race. If the situation comes about that a guaranteed starter doesn't show up for 4 weeks, then somebody from the waiting list will be asked to join as a guaranteed starter. But that way, I mean, we kind of limited a little bit. I think 40 is kind of the max you really want on a track at any given time anyway.
Yes.
So it limits the damage maybe a little bit. But yeah, I mean, don't wait. Get yourself in there, get yourself paid, and get yourself behind the wheel in the Core Xfinity Series, because it's set to be a pretty good one. If it's anything like we've had the last couple of seasons, it's been great racing. This season coming up, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be another 20 race season, including playoffs and the championship round, just like we had for this season. It ended up being fantastic, a great race, and it ain't broke, don't fix it. So the series is going to go back to Auto Club for the season finale.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely. I love that racetrack. It's so tricky, but I mean, it's so fun. It fits the car so beautifully. And man, I thought the finale race that we had just recently, a few days ago, was fantastic. Congrats to all of those drivers that won their respective titles or race or just driving the season in general. Yeah, that's one I look forward to myself. I love big tracks. That's why I decided to run my one-off this past season at a super speedway. That one didn't go quite as well as I hoped it would have. Just didn't have circumstances play my way, but I mean, those are the types of racetracks that I love. I love super speedways. I love the fast, big D-shaped ovals. Michigan Auto Club. They're fun. I got to work on my short track racing a little bit. That's probably where I seem to struggle the most. Even road courses, I mean, I'm back and forth. One day I maybe run well, other days I don't even know why I'm running in dead last. So stick to the ovals, probably always will. Look forward to every one of those we get, maybe except the short tracks unless I figure something out, but every mile and a half I think we'll be up there.
Well, you mentioned short tracks. That's where another wrinkle is going to come into play. But one of the reasons why it was originally going to be Indianapolis for the season finale. But I mean, Tuesday night's race. It's just I know me and Jimmy, have our love affair with the Michigans and the auto clubs out there because. For good reason. They put on a fantastic race every time. There's so many different lines. It's not it's not a super speedway where the big one is waiting around the corner because everybody is under a blanket. But it's a track where you can run pretty much wide open the entire time. But there's so many different lines. I mean, you've seen it on Tuesday night, and if you haven't, check out the broadcast from the Core Xfinity Series on Tuesday for the finale. As you've seen, 3, 4, 5 different lines that you can run through the corners, and that's the kind of track you want for your finale. So it was discussed with the admins, and I've never kind of liked that NASCAR set up their schedule and it's the same thing over and over and over again for their finale. But now that they have their finale at Phoenix, I miss Homestead. I mean, I haven't watched NASCAR in quite some time, but Homestead is such a better place to finish the season off than Phoenix, and we found our niche. Auto Club is the place to finish the season out. So it wasn't broke this past season. We're not going to try and fix it. It's going to go back to Auto Club. But you mentioned the short tracks. There is going to be the few short tracks here on the schedule, but one that's on the schedule that maybe doesn't get touched that often. It's kind of newer here to the iRacing service, and that is the Kern County Speedway. And the track itself does not have that many pit stalls, and because of that, it's not just going to be a practice, qualify, and race. It's going to be heat racing. It's going to be 2 heat races and then alphabet soup to finish out to make the final 20 cars qualify for that feature. So it's going to be certainly a little bit different for the Xfinity drivers getting out there and having to do some heat racing and maybe have to go through some consolation races just to make the feature. But only 21 cars are going to make that feature race. So it'll be very interesting and could certainly shake up the points early on in the season.
Yeah, I mean, what I guess I can tell you that makes me entertained for that race is I've never raced there before. So,
we got that going for you.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to practice a little bit once we get to that point. But I don't know. I mean, even though I've never run there, I don't know. Maybe I'll figure it out pretty quick. Maybe it'll take me forever to figure out. That's the fun thing about these overs sometimes. Some days you're on it, you're up to pace, you're fast, and other days you don't know what you're doing wrong. And kind of like you mentioned, that's kind of how I am at specific racetracks like Phoenix, for example. I mean, the first few times I ran there, I couldn't understand what I was doing wrong. Like, I was just so far off pace, and I was just not able to contend. And then kind of the more I ran, I just kind of slowly got a groove a little bit and eventually figured it out. But I mean, the first 2 racetracks, Kansas and Texas, those are 2 racetracks that I've won at quite a few times on iRacing. Not in the Xfinity car, but in the trucks, which is pretty vastly different. And I guess that's kind of why it's interesting to look at how the finale switches, because some cars fit really well with racetracks and some just don't. Like, nowadays, the next-gen car and Phoenix kind of don't really blend very well. But Next Gen and Homestead, for example, they fit beautifully. They've put on fantastic racing the last few years. And even in iRacing, Xfinity cars run, I mean, just in general, I think they run well pretty much anywhere. But I think the same way for the trucks also. I mean, they also run really good on most racetracks. I mean, I've struggled at Michigan in the trucks before a little bit because then it can kind of go one-sided a little bit. You kind of run the outside lane and it's difficult to pass, but that's just kind of, that'll happen with track conditions and rubbering up specific lanes. And yeah, I mean, I look forward to it. All racetracks that I've had success at sometimes, others I don't know how on earth I'm going to do. Coda, I don't know. Rockingham, I think I've run there maybe 3 times, and New Hampshire maybe once. So that'll be fun to see. But yeah, can't wait.
We got a couple of Xfinity drivers popping in here tonight watching the race. Kevin Foster popping in here. Certainly, as I mentioned in the chat, but also to everyone out there. If we don't don't get to chat with you guys before then. If you don't catch another race on CRN before then, have a happy holiday season, and certainly keep us in mind, and hit that like and subscribe, so that way when you're ready to watch some racing, you can just tune right into to CRN here. And Nico Garcia out there, certainly two fast drivers this season, just coming up a little bit short in their respective championship battles, and they're gonna have their hands full next season. Like I said, it's shaping up to be even more drivers than we had this season. This past season we had 20 plus drivers in every race. It's shaping up to be even more for next season. So again, if you haven't done so yet, get in there and get your payment in there, get yourself locked in as one of those first 40 drivers, and get ready to get on the track. It's just gonna be fun. But we'll take a look real quick while we got some time at the GT series for next season. Again, going to be going back into the GT3 cars, and it's going to kick off at a track that I know at least one driver out there. Hopefully his work schedule frees up a little bit for me and get back out on the track. I know Abib Sebastian is going to enjoy the opener if he can get there, but Hockenheim is going to start off the season for season number 10. Then we head to Daytona, the Nürburgring GP, Road America, and Monza for the first half of the season. Second half is going to feature Le Mans, Algarve, Spa, Watkins Glen, and then the 2-hour season finale is going to be at Sebring, and it's going to be right around that time the drivers are going to be getting ready for 12 hours of Sebring as well. So certainly a good looking schedule for season 10. I know a lot of these drivers are already signed up, already ready to go for next season. So looking forward to it myself, and we'll see how everything goes. But in the meantime here, we're starting to get our second round of pit stops here, and it's been a pretty good race. I mean, we've seen very little action in the negative way so far. These drivers are doing a very good job. We still have looks like, I believe we got 23 cars. Not sure if Tyler Kokeko is still in the running. Looks like Kokeko is the only one that may be out of this race here, but we still got 23 of the 24 cars out there and running. And I mean, we're a good portion into this race this time. We're coming up on the 50th minute, so congrats to all these drivers for doing a great job so far.
Yeah, it's been really good so far. We're nearing the halfway point. Everybody's doing a really good job so far. Keeping it pretty clean for the most part, just a few minor incidents here and there, but you know, that's racing, that'll happen. But now we're getting into the interesting part of the race where we get to talk a little bit more about some of the strategy, what some of the drivers who brought it down pit road. I believe it was Kelly Pointer who brought it in, Jonathan Schwartz, I believe, brought it in as well, and now Mason Smith, P2, is going to be bringing it down pit road. Dom going to be staying out here once again, probably for another lap or two, just like we saw with the last cycle of pit stops here. But yeah, Mason's bringing it in pit road right now. Ricky is on the racetrack still. Actually, I don't believe Jonathan Schwartz brought it down pit road yet.
Well, in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and bring in our in-race reporter, one of our broadcasters here, and whether he wants to or not, we've seen he just completed his second pit stop there, so we'll go ahead and bring in Jimmy Covert. Jimmy, Carl and Tyler up in the booth. How's the race going for you so far out there?
Okay, with the exception of that uphill right-hander, the car gets really loose underneath you, and I don't know if you guys caught it, but I definitely went around there for a hot second, chasing squirrels to the fence, I guess.
Seen you having a good battle out there with Braden Carlson for a couple laps as well. I mean, it seems like it's a good, fun track to race out there. Not too many incidents so far.
No, not really. I'm kind of surprised on what's going on. I see the occasional off tracks and whatnot, but definitely a lot of fun out here.
All right, buddy. We won't take too much of your time out there. We'll let you get to it. It's been a good one here and battling for that top 10.
It is.
That is the driver of the 14, as I try and get it back to his channel down here, Jimmy Covert. And again, doing a pretty good job out here as we're running on board with him. Currently running in 12th place overall, but has been battling close to that top 10 pretty much this entire race here. But number one spots, Dominic Ford now into the pits. The last one that has yet to come into the pits is Ricky Renner. He's going to go around for another one and he's going to be your new leader right now. So Ricky Renner, the 53, stretching this thing out on fuel a little bit further. And again, we talked about it before. These longer runs here in these first couple stints is what you want to do for that nice short pit stop on that last stint. Right now, Ricky Renner, the only one still out there on the track that is yet to come in.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we talked about earlier. The longer you stay out, the less fuel you need to take on your next pit stops, whether that is what set of tires you're going to take as well here. Interesting. I mean, Ricky's already been, what was he, maybe about 13, 14 seconds behind the leaders. So, I mean, at that point, you're not really competing for that much. You're not really in contention for the overall points battle right now. So, I mean, at this point, just try something different. Doesn't hurt. You got a little bit of a gap to the leaders, so try to do something different, outsmart him if it's possible, and get yourself into the battle for the win. But we'll see if he decides to bring it in to pit road at this next time by. If not, he's really going to be on his own strategy, trying to make a difference once they bring it in, and that looks like what he's doing.
Yeah, I'm going to come into the pits here, and maybe my math ain't mathing right, but are we actually looking like it's going to be a 4 pit stop race here? I mean, this is already the second pit stop. We're not through an hour yet, so I think our calculations may be off, and it's actually going to be a 4 pit stop race for everybody, and not a 3. But again, either way, that 4th pit stop is going to be the one where you want to take as little amount of fuel as possible. The last pit stop, we'll just call it that. No matter if they take 3 pit stops or 17, that last pit stop, you want to take as little bit of fuel as possible. So Ricky now into the pits, and looks like he is going to come out. And looks like Jonathan Short just going by right now. Kelly Pointer, it's going to be close on the exit here. Looks like Renner is going to get out in front of Pointer just barely. You see it right there on the track. Pointer's going to have a little bit more speed out of turn 1. He's got a little bit of a draft as well. We'll see if it's enough to get him on by Renner. Renner's going to have that inside line. But we've seen it before. Kelly Pointer has already come into the pits, and he knows how to get those tires warmed up quickly. But it looks like Renner may be just enough ahead to be able to hold him off for 4th place.
Yeah, the lap car there, Alan goes and kind of affected that one just a tiny bit with Kelly Pointer there. Not really taking his line away, but I mean, Alan's just kind of he's running his own line. He's trying not to get in the way, just making sure he gets out of the way at the quickest way possible for his race. I mean, he's still, let's see, where is he running right now? Looks like he's running in P18 at the moment, so not the worst run in the world so far, but yeah, I mean, now that the tires are kind of up to speed a little bit for Ricky here as they keep running through all the gravel. Now it's starting to get a little bit crazy out there. He's kind of got it warmed up here a little bit. We'll see if Kelly's got anything for him here at this point. Might take a few laps, but I mean, Ricky's got the tire advantage at this point, so we'll see what difference that makes.
I mean, there's a bit of a gap in between the leaders and the back markers at this point. I think the marshals got to get out there with the brooms real quick, right, and the Worth and Worth too to kind of sweep that thing out. It's getting a little hairy, a little bit rocky out there for sure, but it's been a great race so far. 55 minutes into it, coming up on minute number 56, so almost at that halfway point. We've already had 2 pit stops. Still going to be 2 more on tap for the second half of this race, but I shouldn't be surprised because we've seen the kind of races these drivers can put on all season, but the fact that we really haven't had anything too major. I mean, we have 1 car out of the race right now, Tyler Kokeko, but the other 23 is still out there pumping in some good laps and some good times, keeping it on track. I really wish SDK would be cleaner with their off tracks, and we knew how many off tracks they actually had, and if anybody has had to serve any kind of penalties. I mean, right now it's showing, for instance, Nathan Nickerson, as we have the 28 of Derek Jansen go sideways there, but it's showing Nathan Nickerson as 20 off tracks right now, 20X, and now 21, just as I talk to him, talk about it. But I mean, it's showing Ricky Renner as 30. I don't think that's the case. I don't think they have that many, and I think we'd see Ricky Renner have to come into the pits if that was the case. We've seen it before, and it's most famously at a race at Spa. I think a season or two ago, it was showing some guys with it's like 70X or something like that. It was something crazy. I mean, I know Spa is another track that's very easy to get X. Not that easy.
Not that much. No,
I mean,
not even close. I think the most X's I've ever had in a race may have been not even 30. I can tell you that. Maybe like 20 something. I'm not even including like the 24-hour race because I don't even remember what I got in that. I don't think it was pretty, but in a normal official race, you know, normal distance, I've never gotten that much. I think I've only ever been DQ'd for X's once, and that was 17X.
I've gotten into the 70s before. I've gotten into the 70s before at I believe it was at Suzuka.
I'll see if I can find that information and see how many X's I got at Daytona. I'll figure that out.
It was quite a bit. The one race that we had that I was in at Suzuka, but we got a good little battle right here for the last couple spots in the gold, which is the battle for 6th and 7th overall. Dave Tilford has 6th place, but Nick Terrell has been trying to work him over in that mystery machine to get into 6th place. Good little scrap there, got really close to getting together a couple times, working through traffic, working through Gullison. And it's, again, I can't say it enough. It's been really good racing out here by these drivers. There's certainly been some passing. There's been some close racing, but nobody really getting together, causing any kind of major incidents or anything like that. You have something here from Josh Betts. Just want to see what may have happened here. It's coming up into Remus and just a little bit slow, so it just got tagged. And here's where we see the incident here with Terry Jansen. And the car just stepping out on him. Luckily for the drivers behind him, we've seen the battle going on. He's able to lock it up and keep it to the outside. This is John Nobinger here and Eli Brandel. And Brandel gets a little bit loose and well, I guess I spoke too soon about cars getting together as Nobinger gets into the back of Brandel and both of them go around.
Yeah, sounds like typical, pretty much Red Bull ring. That'll happen, you know.
Well, Tyler, we are, again, in the last race of the season here, but it's not over. We're at that 1 hour mark. We still got another hour to go. We are at the halfway point here at the Red Bull Ring. It's been a great race. Haven't showed it too much, but a little bit of the typical here. The 91 of Dominic Ford out in the lead. He's got about a 1.5 second lead over his teammate Mason Smith in second. Then the other actually 11 seconds. Yes, 11.7 seconds back to Jonathan Schwartz in third place. And the fourth is going to be Kelly Pointer. And then rounding out the top 5 is going to be Ricky Renner. The rest of the top 10 is going to be Dave Tilford, Nick Terrell, Nathan Nickerson, Brandon Carlson, and Eli Brandel holding on to 10th place right now as Jimmy Covert closes in once again to try and make himself a top 10 driver, as we got to speak to him a little bit earlier. But Tyler, I mean, on a race like this, does it get your blood flowing? I mean, for me, I haven't really been in the GT3 cars that much recently. I'm going to be stepping into the LMP2 for the Daytona 24 that's coming up here next month, just a few weeks away here on iRacing, and it's been quite a while since I got into the LMP2. I know I've run the Daytona 24 and the LMP2 before, but have you had a chance to get into any of the other ones other than these GT3s when it comes to the road cars?
Yeah, I mean, I ran the 24 hours of Daytona this past year in the LMP2, I believe, and we did win the class, so that was a very good race overall. It was a little bit tricky because I've never run those cars that often, but the more practice, this is every race car, but the more practice more laps I put in, easier it got, more I kind of was able to figure out maybe some loopholes and all that. But I mean, official-wise, that's really most of the races that I've ran the Fuji 8-hour in a similar car. I can't remember exactly what we ran. May have been the Porsche, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, we'll be running Cadillacs as well this coming Daytona 24 Hours as well here. So I'll be looking forward to that, trying to win it again for the second year in a row. So that'll be intriguing. Hopefully many of these, I'm curious about what these drivers are going to be doing for 24 Hours of Daytona as well.
Yeah, that's one thing I haven't yet got into. I've driven the GTPs already. I haven't run them in a special menu, in any kind of endurance races, and I'm not sure why. It's not that I'm afraid of it, but I fell into a comfort zone for quite some time in the GT3s, and that's really kind of what I wanted to run in the endurance races, and it's a comfortable speed for me. But I mean, the LMP2's not a crazy amount faster speed wise, but a lot more downforce, so it kind of equals itself out. And I know we talked to a couple other drivers looking to add to our team, and haven't had that much experience in the LMP2s, and that's kind of my breakdown of the car. I think the biggest thing to get used to is the field of vision, which is not much. Like, you get into these GT3 cars and you feel like you're in, I don't know, a car. you get into the LMP2 and you feel like you're in like the cockpit of a fighter jet. Like, there's no there's no field of vision. You're looking out the front. It's a little bit to get used to. But other than that, I mean, it's a fun little car to get around. So it'll be nice, I guess, being an LMP2 and being able to pass GT3s and seeing them in front of you and making the pass in front of you instead of worried about getting past and looking in the mirror constantly for those those LMP2s. I mean, you still have to deal with the GTPs. It'll be even faster, but either way, it'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what my mindset was last year at Daytona. We weren't the fastest car. We were getting passed by, I believe it was 2 other classes at the time. So that was, I mean, for me, always wanting to be the fastest one no matter what. That was very infuriating. Getting passed by all those faster cars, like, man, why am I not one of those? Like, I mean, I still had fun. I mean, I still enjoyed it. We still won the race. I mean, I'm not going to complain whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to the GTP, the car that we're going to be running coming up here, I mean, I've run that car before. I've had experience. I've run it in the Watkins Glen 6-hour. It was either last year or 2022. I can't really remember. I want to say it was 2022 we raced. Didn't really do that well. But man, you're right. That car, it's just, I don't know if I could say it doesn't fit my driving style, but like, it's just so different compared to the LMP2 where I don't feel comfortable. I mean, I've been doing some practice laps on the car, getting ready for Daytona in a few weeks. It's every lap. Like, I feel like I haven't gained the comfort that I need. I mean, I'll still continue to practice, hopefully to gain that. But I mean, at this point, usually, I'd say I'm a quick learner when it comes to cars. I mean, I get my feel pretty quickly, but like, this is taking longer than I've expected, which I'm not gonna say is a big concern whatsoever. I mean, I'll eventually figure it out, but like, it's just so different from my driving style where I expect like I know what I'm supposed to be driving, but with this car, it just kind of like I described when some of the drivers in this race spun out. Like, it just sometimes feels like you're just driving on air. Like, you don't know what you're feeling. Like, if it jumps out from underneath you, you're gonna have no idea until you're actually sideways, and there's no point in saving it. So yeah, I mean, it's tricky. It's why I don't run sports cars all the time. That's why I run ovals, and everyone's relatively the same. You can make 3 adjustments when you run fixed races. So that's more my style. I like to compare just to see how I am with the same car as everybody else. But look forward to that still. Hopefully I get used to that car soon.
We'll take a look at our championship battles, as we mentioned coming in. Dominic Ford pretty much having this thing on lock to begin with, and looking like he's got this race on lock. He's got a 2.5 second lead out front. But over in the silver division, Nathan Nickerson came in with a 6-point lead over Braden Carlson, 31 points over John Nobinger. And currently Nathan Nickerson leading in the silver division. He is up by 5 seconds on car he wants to beat here tonight, Braden Carlson. Braden Carlson needs to find a way to get around Nathan Nickerson and maybe hope that he slides back a little bit so he can pick up a few points on him. But right now, Dickerson doing a fantastic job here in the silver division. As take a look back here, I thought there was some action going on here, but over in the excuse me, the bronze division, a little bit of the same. Jesse Francisco, your points leader, coming in by 9 points over Tim Thompson, who was not in the field here tonight. And then Joshua Betts was another 16 points behind in third place. But Jesse Francisco leading in the bronze division by 32 seconds over second place James Molyneux. But more importantly, he is a lap ahead of Joshua Betts. So certainly looking like a championship run for the 731 here tonight, Jesse Francisco.
Yeah, good for these drivers overall there. Jesse running really well here. Just went a lap down just a little bit ago. But still, very good run for him as well. The battle for silver, pretty intriguing right now with Nathan and Braden right now. Two really good drivers. Still plenty of race past the halfway point now. So still got plenty of racing to go here. But the difference between these two is still relatively close. We can still see any difference right there. Carlson, I believe, was maybe a little bit quicker. I'm just trying to see what the lap time difference was. Yeah, it looks like he was slightly quicker.
200ths of a second.
Yeah,
Smoking
slightly quicker. I mean, hey, you know, any difference like that
Chipping
could
away.
still mean the world.
Chipping away.
You never know. You never know.
Well, as we said, we are in the second half of this race, and it's been a good one. It's been a joy to watch up here in the booth, but it's time for us to take a step aside for one last time this season and let these engines roar here in the Core GT series with a little love to hear it. love to hear it segment of the season here as we look at famous statue here at the Red Bull Ring here in Spielberg, Austria, as it's a beautiful, beautiful facility right now, and it's putting on a beautiful race as we are down to less than 45 minutes in the final race of the season here for the Core GT Series. Again, it's been interesting for the Silver Division as Nathan Nickerson still leads the way there, but he is no longer the leader in the Silver Division. It's John Nominger, but now Nominger is going to come into the pits and relinquish that lead back. But Nickerson has a pretty sizable lead over Braden Carlson and is currently sitting at 17.5 seconds. And Carlson needs to beat Nickerson and then maybe have a little bit of luck to try and reel him in for the points title in the silver. In the bronze, it's a bit of a different story. We last talked, Jesse Francisco was your leader and was doing very well until he dropped out of the session, and it's not by his own doing. It is the internet gremlins popping up and knocking him out, and it looks like he is now back into the pits, but it has put him second last in the field. He has dropped all the way down to 23rd, last in line in the bronze car. Actually, it looks like now he just popped up even higher as he just comes out of the pits. He's actually up into to 21st, not 23rd. But he's behind Josh Betts. Now, again, it's tough to figure out with the drop races and everything else, but Josh Betts currently is 2 positions ahead of Francisco. I don't think that's going to be enough, even with the drop races, to to be an issue for Francisco losing the title, as he had a 16-point lead over Betts coming in. But it's certainly not something that you want to have on championship night, on the double points night. But we did have something else happen, and it was to one of our gold division drivers. That is Dave Tilford, trying to get everything that he could coming out of the pits, and you see that car is destroyed. He had to tow it back into pits, and that's a long tow. Hopefully he's got a fast repair to get that thing cleaned up, but that has dropped him way down the order. He was up there battling with Nick Terrell for 6th place. He is now down in 20th overall and 7th out of 7 in the gold division. So a rough one there for Dave Telford, but overall it is still Dominic Ford in the lead now, 6.8 seconds in the lead over Mason Smith, Ricky Renner, Jonathan Schwartz, Kelly Pointer for your top 5. Then you got Nick Terrell, Nathan Nickerson, Braden Carlson, Eli Randall, and Jimmy Covert for your top 10. It's been a fun season broadcasting with you, Tyler. I'm happy that we got a chance to hop in the booth. I know we kind of dabbled in it a little bit last season, but it's been fun having you up here in the booth and calling these races. And I know we've talked about it before, how different it is being up here in the booth. It seems easy enough just watching these races and commentating on it, but you learn so much from being up here on just how different drivers handle the track and how the cars should be positioned coming into and out of corners and things like that. There's so many different vantage points that you see from up here in the booth.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm being honest, I was floating the idea around maybe a few weeks ago. I was like, do I really want to try full-time in this series just to see what it's like? But I kind of came to the idea, it's like, that'd be fun, but I think I'll just stick to the booth. I'm going to stick to doing the one-off, because when I did that one-off a few weeks ago at Monza, that was a blast. I mean, from my vantage point, that was a very boring race. I think I maybe passed like 4 total cars and was in the first maybe 4 laps or so. The rest of that, I was completely by myself. It was kind of a weird choice, maybe not the best, but next season I think I'll probably be doing the same, probably do a one-off. I like the idea of Daytona. I think that'll be a fun one-off to do. But yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, these cars are just so wild. They're so, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you could say with Dave Tilford, I mean, whatever happened on pit road exit there, he just kind of tried to get as much as he could and just overstepped it just slightly. So I mean, that'll happen, but I mean, it's still wildly entertaining racing here. Of course, you have your dominant drivers, but that's in all racing. You have really good drivers, and then others, you have battling mid-pack, putting on great battles. So it's great all around, a lot of fun, and yeah, it's been a great season up to this point, and I can't wait for next season. I don't see anything slowing down.
Yeah, John Nomi are going to be stepping out of the car and back up into the booth, and he'll be your main broadcaster for the GT series again next season. As I'll be hopping up here and helping him out. And Tyler, it sounds like you're willing to hop up here and get in the action here in the booth for the GT series next season. As I'll be able to cover about half the series with John in the beginning. So it'd be nice having a three-man booth up here if you're willing to hop back up in the booth. And then in the second half of the season, I know myself and Jimmy are certainly getting ready for the Virtual Velocity Racing series to come back on Thursday nights here in Siran. It was a really good series last year, put on by Tim Lee and all the boys over there at VVR. Again, they have a special event coming up this Saturday, which I think they have a couple spots left. They're only taking 43 drivers for the race on Saturday, but again, it's going to be a good one. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's only $10 to enter. There's going to be a ton of different prizes that are going to be given out by Tim Lee, and we're looking forward to broadcasting, especially because it's at one of our favorite tracks we talked about earlier in Michigan. It's certainly going to be a fun one there. The ARCA cars at Michigan for 150 laps, I believe, for that one on Saturday. And then on Monday, we got another special event, as we mentioned earlier, benefiting the NASCAR Hall of Fame Foundation. And that's going to be put on by some of the guys in relationship with the Yes Car series is kind of how we got in contact with that one. But it's another one where it's a $10 entry fee, but every $20 donation that's to bring every $20 donation will bring a student in that need into the NASCAR Hall of Fame for a once-in-a-lifetime learning experience. So it's a great benefit, and if you want to race in it, just let me know, and we'll get you in contact with who you need to get into the race in the event. But if not, certainly tune in to CRN, show your support that way, or maybe show your support with a donation there to the NASCAR Hall of Fame Foundation. But we've got to finish this one out. We got a good battle right now between Jimmy Covert and Eli Brandel. Once again, these three right here with Braden Carlson in front have been really close to each other for some time, and Brandel still has the edge over Jimmy Covert there heading through Remus. But we're getting down towards the final quarter of this race. We got about 35 minutes left in this race. We still got one more pit stop to go, that all-important pit stop that we talked about, that is just going to be most likely a splash and dash for these drivers. But all in all, it's been a good hour and 25 minutes. We still have, I believe, 23 cars. Yeah, Alexander Hamrick in pit lane right now, but 23 cars still in the session. And I mean, to me, Tyler, that's a heck of a success. I know this is not necessarily the hardest track in the world to drive on, but still, hour and a half and really one car out of the race. That's pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. And I mean, I looked to see what happened to Tyler Kokeko, and I'm not even really sure. It just seemed like he brought it to pit road and just didn't continue from there, so I'm not really sure what happened there. But I mean, even though we still have 23 drivers on the field, we still have side-by-side racing, which is pretty fantastic overall. Like we mentioned, with Eli right now and Jimmy Covert battling just inside the top 10. They've been putting on a great show as of now so far, and been pretty good right now. Just a little bit of time to go, and I'm sure these battles will continue. Kelly and Nick Terrell are just looking pretty close. There's about 2-3 seconds between those guys as well, so continue to be interesting.
I was trying to look back and see how Dominique Ford stretched out as big of a lead as he did. I know the pit stop was about a second slower for Mason Smith, but I mean, he is back there 7 seconds now. For quite some time, he was there within at least 2 seconds of Dom Ford, but now it is stretched out to a massive 7-second lead for the 91 overall. But Mason Smith's doing a good job in second place. Schwartz is in third. Pointer, Terrell for your top 5, and then you got Renner, Nickerson, Carlson, Randall, and Covert for your top 10. But Who do you guys like for this one? I mean, obviously it looks like Dominic Ford is, you know, as you say, Barry, in control of this race so far. It looks like he's going to go for his 6th win on the season and take 6 out of 10 here this season. But, you know, who do you think is going to get it done in the silver and the bronze right now? Nathan Nickerson has the lead in the silver division, but I mean, we've kind of seen that ebb and flow just a little bit. Braden Carlson in second right now, 13 seconds back. So he's gained a little bit here and there, but it's not enough. I mean, he's got to be able to get ahead of Nickerson and hope that Nickerson drops in the order a little bit. So really, he needs a mistake by Nickerson to have a chance at this title. Coming in to tonight, he was just a mere 6 points back, which is only, you know, the equivalent of 3 positions here on the track. But right now he is looking up the leaderboards, and he sees that 280 in front of him right now. Ellie Brandel, third in line here in the silver, and then looking down in the bronze division, James Molyneux is your leader in the bronze, and he was certainly ecstatic to get to talk to us last race as he finally grabbed himself his first win in the bronze division. I mean, he's had pace, he's had speed, but that Corvette just was not friendly to him when it comes to the race time. But since he switched over to this Acura, it's been a bit of a godsend for him, and he's doing well once again. He obviously did good last week. He's running at top of the boards, as maybe we'll stop short of on the screen because he gets loose in work 2, and now does he have the time to get that thing turned around before the field comes?
Oh my, look out.
He gets it back going. I mean, there's not much really he can do right there. It's a tough situation getting around there, but he does get out. You see Alex Jaspers is now not that far behind him. It is cut all the way down to less than 6 seconds. You see James Molyneux, right there is Alex Jaspers. So new life for the Canadian to try and get in there and get a win in the bronze division. Eric Martin running in third. Jesse Francisco has picked off another position as he is up into 20th position, but more importantly, only 1 spot behind Josh Betts right now after he had the internet connection. It looked like he had this bronze division race locked up and was going to walk away to an easy win here in the bronze division, but the internet gremlins end up kicking him out of the session. He fell back quite a bit. I mean, he had, if I'm not mistaken, he had about a 15-second lead at least in the bronze division, and now he is over a lap behind the leader in the bronze, being James Molyneux. So it's a shame for Francisco, not going to get the win here tonight, but more importantly, going to win the war. He's going to win the bronze division championship as it stands right now. But we're down to 30 minutes left in the season.
30 minutes. Oh boy, how we standing right now. Dom's still doing pretty well. Got that gap up. I'm just gonna, just since I said his name, I just want to take a look at his tire lifetime, like I brought up from the first stint. And I mean, based on the looks of it, really, there's been no change in any of his tire, in the way he's been driving. His second stint, his first up-to-speed lap was a 30.67. His last up-to-speed lap was a 30.21. That was the second stint. Then his third stint, he ran a 130.45, and then finished it off with a 130.1. And then the stint he's on right now started with a 130.48, and he just ran a 130.43. So tires to him mean absolutely nothing. He's been steady and sometimes even faster at the end of his run than he is at the beginning of his run. So does that defy the laws of tire management the way I do over racing? Very much. How does that work? I don't have a clue.
This is certainly a shame that we see right here, as it's once again it is Dave Tilford and Nick Terrell back to back, but unfortunately this is not for position, with Dave Tilford having the incident coming out of pit lane, spinning the car, knocking the tires out of place, and had to tow back to pit lane. So he is a lap behind the 50 or the 081 of Nick Terrell. Trying to see what happened to Ricky Renner, as he has dropped down the order quite a bit, as he is now 6th place in the gold division. He was running up there in 4th last I seen, but not seen any kind of incidents that happened here to Ricky. I know he made a pit stop already, but so did pretty much everybody else. Yeah, I think everybody has made their third pit stops here, just waiting for their fourth pit stop. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what exactly happened to the 53. I just noticed right now that he is down outside the top 5. But again, it's a shame right here for Tilford. But it happens. You make one little mistake, and especially that where it costs you, your tires being out of line, coming out of the pits. Absolute worst, because the tow time is going to be the absolute longest, because it's got to, virtually tow you around the entire track to get you back to pit lane. So, I mean, it sucks no matter what when you have to tow, but, I mean, coming out of pit lane, oof. I think oof is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to describe it. And then I looked at that incident a few times just to see anything, and I mean, it's such a weird incident. At first I thought when he came off the pit road, he kind of hit that little wall opening, but even from there, he just kind of, I guess, got the rear tires up to speed way too quick, down on the throttle too early, and just looped the rear end, and yeah, that's just unfortunate for Dave right now. I mean, he's still, in the top 15, but obviously not where he's been the whole race right now. I mean, looking at Ricky, when you were talking about him falling back, I mean, his last, let's see, what is this, his last 6 lap times have all been in the 131s. Compare that to Nick Terrell and his last, every lap this stint that he's run 3, 6, 7, 8 laps have all been in the 130s. So, tough break for Ricky. I think just the pace may have fallen off for him.
Or is that fuel saving? Is that potentially? I mean, we've seen him go the longest on the first or second stint. We've seen him out there the longest and getting an extra lap or so. So maybe we got something else in the works here that is not played out yet. But with the demise of Dave Tilford, it's freed up Nick Terrell to go after another position, as he has been up there battling with Kelly Pointer for 4th place overall here in the gold division, as they've been working their way through traffic. You see the 117 there of Alex Jasper's a little bit banged up there, so his run to try and catch up to James Molyneux not going to happen. Try and see and take a look at what happened here to Jasper's. And oh man, the car snapping on him. And
it doesn't seem like a healthy car.
I mean, everything looked fine right there.
Just maybe some internal battles, I think.
I'm wondering where he lost the front end, though. That's what's not making sense to me, because he... Oh, and right there. It didn't show up as an accident, so we'll have to rewind it, but he's coming through turn number 1, gets a little bit too much of that sausage curb on the entrance and exit, snaps around and hard into the wall, loses the front end of that thing. Looks like it was pretty square of a hit to the front end, so I think the car is still driving straight, but it's going to be down on speed for sure, and possibly power the way he nailed it into the wall there.
Yeah, once he kind of got into turn 1 there, he kind of made a little too big of an arc. Typically when you're on that corner, you really only want your right sides on the sausage curb, and I mean, he got almost all 4 on the curb, and his right sides are on that yellow turtle thing pretty much, and you can see once he got off the corner, you can see how much the right side kind of jumped a little bit, and that just upset it, on the handling pretty much once it got back fully in the racetrack and right it went. So, that'll happen.
Yeah, certainly a throwback there, Kevin, to the team racing that we had there in the early seasons of the GT. I'm not sure if it was the GT series or if it was the GT3 series, but that was certainly fun pairing up. And yeah, there was nothing stopping you guys. I believe there's that it was either at Zolder or Zandvoort. I think it might have been at Zolder for that one. But somehow, some way, you guys did some fantastic fuel saving. But yes, here tonight they have had to pit, and they're still going to have to pit one more time, at least a majority of this field. I don't think we've seen anybody come in. Looks like Nathan Nickerson just coming in a few laps ago. Not sure if he's going to be able to make it all the way to the end from there. I mean, that's going to be quite a bit of a run to get all the way to the end. Now we see Brandon Domain coming into the pits. I mean, we still got 23 laps left in this race, or 23 minutes left in this race. It should be good to go from here. And maybe taking a little bit of saving, but from here on out, we should be able to see these drivers make it to the end.
Yeah, I would think so. I think I'm trying to, at least looking at it, the first stint, again, I'm just comparing to Dom just because he's probably the easiest to compare because he typically will run a little longer. The first stint for Dom, he ran about 17 laps, and a lap is about a minute and a half, so yeah, with 20, not too many minutes to go, 23 minutes to go, yeah, it should be good to go on one more pit stop. It'll just be a difference of, how much fuel will someone take when they bring it down the pit road.
Kelly Pointer back out on the track. So he's going to be in 6th place right now with Braden Carlson and Eli Brandel coming into the pits. Jimmy Colbert is now your leader in the silver division. And we'll see if we can pull him in one more time, see if he's available, and bug him one more time now that he's leading. I mean, why not mess with him one more time for the season? And bring in the driver of the 14, Jimmy. I know you're gonna make a pit stop yet, but you're leading the silver division, buddy.
Whoa! Went out that.
So currently running 7th, but I mean, again, it seems like you've been stuck right there in some kind of a battle that pretty much this entire race, and lately they're battling there with Eli Brandel and once again Brandon Carlson right there as well. So it looks like top 10 is certainly in the mix here. I mean, do you have some goals that you're trying to hit for the end of this race? If you can get by the 024 and the 50 before this thing ends?
We're going to certainly give the government a try here, but we're coming here and about getting ready to make a pit entry, so excuse me if I'm quiet.
Absolutely, buddy. Don't want to mess you up, and make sure you hit the correct buttons to get in there. But good luck for you, and maybe we'll talk to you after the race.
Maybe.
That is the driver of the 14, Jimmy Covert.
As you go. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
sorry.
exactly.
I thought I'd try. That's okay.
As he makes his final pit stop here tonight, the final pit stop of the season, barring any kind of issues or any kind of damage that he may incur. But back out after the pit stops, Braden Carlson, slight lead here over Eli Brandel. They're currently battling for 10th and 11th. Should shake out to 9th and 10th as Jimmy Covert in the pit lane right now. Looks like he is moving. It's going to be a little closer than I expected here coming out. Maybe Jimmy Covert getting out here. Going to be very close. You see Braden Carlson coming around. Carlson's going to get by. Brandel gonna just get by. And how about this?
Wow.
How close do you want it? Right there. All three cars right back at it, right back in the mix. And it is Carlson in 9th, Brandel in 10th, Covert in 11th as Carlson goes a little bit deep, and that's going to give an option there to Covert on the inside down the backstretch. Is going to go side by side with Brandel. He's made his last pit stop. It's go time here at Red Bull Ring.
Jimmy Covert now is going to look to the inside here of Eli Brandel on the right side of him. It looks like Eli is just going to give him the spot here. He will. Jimmy will clear, but not quite. Eli's still going to fight back. He's going to be on the inside now, but he's going to lift off here. Give the position up here. Now we'll see what Jimmy can do.
He goes wide and gets into the kitty litter there, but now side by side through Worth. Covert's going to have the inside. Some contact there with Brandel.
Wow, what a
Brandl's
save.
able to save it. He's still right in the mix there. That got to be a little bit closer. Looked like both of them kind of just coming together in between the S-turn there. But a good save there by the 024. And Covert has the position, but we'll see how this plays out here if they get back together. Currently Covert in 10th, Brandel in 11th. As some more drivers making their final pit stops. Mason Smith into the pits, and and looks like Dave Tilford, Jake Jackson making his final pit stop, and Eric Martin coming in making his pit stop as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to look at that incident just to see what happened there. And from this angle, I mean, it looked like Eli kind of thought he had the position there at the end, but just, I don't know. He thought he had it cleared and just, you know,
just slid over there a little bit.
Yeah, just try to take the space when it wasn't clear and Jimmy wasn't lifting. I mean, at this point, you shouldn't lift, you know, just trying to get every position you can. But I mean, still, hey, good save. But now Eli's right behind him. We'll see if he has any hard feelings. I doubt it. But
I was gonna say, I'm wondering what kind of speed that that O24 has, but because he does have that front end wrinkled up there a little bit after the incident, but seems like he's doing pretty well here. He caught right back up to the 14 of Covert, and we got a battle here inside the top 10. Judd Nobier now relinquishes the top spot in the silver as he comes in to make his final pit stop. We'll take a look and see where he cycles out, as it should put Nathan Nickerson back into the lead as he comes down the front stretch. Looking to get the win here, not just in the race here, but for the championship as well. And he's in exactly the spot he needs to be, just needs to keep that car clean the rest of the way. He retakes the lead here in the silver division. Braden Carlson is going to get by. John Nomier now coming out, and he's going to come out just in front of these two that were just doing battle, Jimmy Covert and Eli Brandel. So 4 silver cars here, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the silver division, which equals out to 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th overall. May have a little bit of a battle before this thing is over, as we're down to about 16 minutes left in this race.
Getting close there. Those drivers mid-pack, everything up front continuing to still pan out. Mason Smith brought it down pit road. It looks like he is down in P3. Nick Terrell yet to pit here. Dom as well yet to pit. He's coming around pit entry here this time by FLC. If he decides to pit, it looks like he does. So that should be all good to go for him. He'll probably take maybe a quick splash. I would imagine no tires, and if that's the case, he might even keep the lead. He's got over 30 seconds on Nick Terrell as they enter pit road. He'll be just now getting past, I believe that's turn 7. So Dom now getting into his pit stall. Nick coming up to the second to last turn at the moment. Mason just coming out of the mini chicane as well here. So getting close here, finish it up here. Dom's just finishing up his pit stop. Battle in the middle, stays close. Dom is off.
And Nick Terrell is in. He's going to come in from 2nd place, so Mason Smith will be back up to 2nd. Still trying to keep an eye on Ricky Renner to see when he decides to come in. Currently running in 5th position, but it seems like he's been either really off pace compared to where he was at the beginning, or he's been in fuel save mode here and trying to go a little bit further than everybody else. I don't think there's any way he can stretch it out all the way to the end, but we've seen some crazy things happen this season in the GT series. We got 15 minutes left before we close out season season number 9 here for the core GT series. And again, season number 10 going to be starting up in less than a month on January 9th. The first, well, technically the second Thursday of the year is going to start up for next season at the Hockenheim. Just beautiful German circuit there, and I, in my opinion, doesn't get raced enough. I think it's a fun little racing track to start the season. And again, I know if Bishop Assam is out there either watching or got his eye on the season, I'm sure if his work schedule frees up, that is certainly his favorite track out there. And there's certainly some his nickname and everything is based on Hockenheim. Let's just leave it at that. But yeah, I'm already looking forward to season 10 and seeing who's out there and who's going to be running. We'll see if we get some of the heavy hitters out there. I know Dom Ford already expressed his interest in taking maybe a season off, taking a bit of a break from the Core GT series, at least for next season. We'll see who steps up and steps into his place, because he has certainly had a dominating season this year, as he's looking to cap it off with a 6th win here on the night and get his championship done and dusted on the top step of the podium here at the Red Bull Ring. He's got a 13-second lead over his teammate Mason Smith, who's got about 6.5 seconds on Jonathan Schwartz. That's your top 3 in the golden overall. Ricky Renner, Nick Terrell for your top 5, but Ricky Renner still has, we think at least, yet to make his final pit stop. So that could potentially drop him down to from 4th all the way down to 6th if it plays out that way. Nathan Nickerson leading in the silver division, as he's got about a 4.5 second lead. As are we missing something here? Did we see, or did we not see an incident here? Because Nathan Nickerson had a pretty sizable lead over Braden Carlson, if I'm not mistaken, and all of a sudden it's down quite a bit. And yeah, both of them came into the pits, so Carlson is now only 4 seconds behind Nathan Nickerson. So this all of a sudden got interesting.
I don't know. I'm kind of trying to look at their lap times, and ever since they brought it, you know, onto the racetrack for this last thing, Carlson has yet to really run up to speed 132 lap. Nathan has ran a 32, even a 33 every lap this run.
Carlson just ran a 130.9 this last lap. So he's about a 1.5 seconds faster on that last lap right there than Nickerson. So the gap is closing. You see right there the blue number 280, that is Nathan Nickerson, and then the blue number 50 is Braden Carlson. So the lead is getting smaller by the lap here. We'll see if Carlson has something in store for us before this thing is over.
Yeah, and I mean, also don't forget that just in front of Carlson is Dominique Ford, the leader right now. He's obviously the faster car, and he's going to get up to Nathan no problem.
Carlson's got some more company, and that is John Nomier getting to the inside, making the pass. So maybe it's not Carlson we got to worry about. Didn't even realize John Nomier up here and in the mix. He moves himself into 2nd place. I think he's got his sights set on that top step of the podium here tonight. He's only got about 3 seconds in between him and Nathan Nickerson for that win. So the top 3 right now only separated by about 4 seconds. And we're down to the last 11 minutes left of the season. This could be getting pretty good here in the silver division. Down in the bronze, James Mullen, I'm not going to show him too long on the screen because last time we did, he spun out here a little bit and lost a bit of his lead. But the lead now back up to 17 seconds here for the 94. And I know he's a Chevy man, but I'm glad he dipped his feet into the Acura because it has paid dividends. He gets the win last week in the bronze, in the pouring rain at Spa, and now can't just say that he's a rain racer. He's figured out a way to do it in the dry conditions here as well. Ricky Renner does come into the pits to make his final pit stop, and that should complete the cycle for all these drivers here tonight, as Renner's going to drop down the order here a little bit, and we'll see where he comes out. It looks like he's going to come out well in front of the silver division drivers here, but the lead is not 3 seconds anymore. It is down to 1. Tyler, we got a race on our hands.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at Nathan's laps here. He's still running 32s. He almost ran a 33 that lap, and I mean,
does he have the same fuel to make it to the end or something? I mean, it's he pit on lap number 61. I mean, that's 2 laps earlier than really the next closest one, big Braden Carlson. Braden Carlson into pit lane.
Interesting.
So Carlson is not able to make it all the way to the end. He pit on lap number 63. Nathan Nickerson pit on lap number 61.
So there's no way.
I mean, if Nickerson ends up running out of fuel and Carlson can somehow pull off a flyer here, this could change. Oh, that is not him coming into the pits. That is him serving a drive-through. Carlson gets a late race drive-through here. I mean, still questioning if Nickerson can make it on fuel, and he is not going to make it in the lead, as John Nominger is right on his back bumper right now. Nominger not holding anything back. This thing is winding down. We're under 10 minutes left. Nickerson is under pressure and gonna get passed by the 44 of Nominger. Does he have anything left in the tank to try and fight him? Doesn't look like it, as Nominger easily makes this pass, and he's going to try and drive off to a win here in the silver. But
Yeah,
does
Nobinger-
Nickerson have to save to get this thing to the end?
Yeah, Nobinger should have no issue because when he brought it down pit road, he was a lot quicker, I believe. It looked like he seemed to take maybe front tires and maybe fuel, if I'm looking at his pit stop right. And Nathan was obviously on pit road longer, but I don't know. I mean, the last few laps I was looking at Nathan just to see how his laps were. It seemed like he was coasting into the corners. So that tells me he is trying to save a little bit of fuel. I want to see what he does heading up here into turn one, if there's any difference here. No,
I mean,
that corner didn't seem like he really coasted much.
I mean, Nobinger pit on lap number 66 and Nickerson pit on lap number 61. Looks like maybe Nickerson is maybe done saving fuel, because all of a sudden he is right on the back bumper of Nobinger. Maybe this is not going to be a walk away for Nobinger. He's got a battle on his hands now. Nickerson has awoken, awoken. He's awake.
Risen.
He's
risen. I think risen is the word.
He's awake. He is back on the loud pedal, and maybe this race is still on for the top spot and the silver. But Braden Carlson, heartbreak there, and it's self-inflicted. He just had one too many X's, and this late in the race, I'm sure he's not the only one that had to deal with the drive-through. But a late race drive-through has put him 14 seconds behind in this battle, and he is not where he wants to be. He is not just behind Nathan Nickerson, but he's even got a car in between him with Eli Randall. So he's currently sitting 4th in the silver division. But we're coming down to the final few laps of the season. 6.5 minutes left in this race, and man, it's anybody's guess who's going to get this thing done. Does Nickerson have enough fuel to get it to the end? Does he have the fight left in him to try and take it back to John Nobinger and take back the win here in the silver division, or is he just content riding here in second place? I mean, there's more points, to be had for winning the silver division race, but there's no trophy that's given out for winning the silver division. It's just pride to say that you won the division in that race, and a pat on the back. But I don't think there's enough on the line for him to try and take this fight to Nobinger. I mean, he's got a championship to worry about here, and he cannot run out of fuel. If he runs out of fuel, then he could possibly be handing the championship to Carlson.
Yeah, this will be interesting as we get to the final few laps. Now that each lap is about 1.5 minutes, I would imagine we maybe have, maybe 3-4 laps to go if I were to guess. So you can see Nobinger's really stretched the gap on Nathan these last few laps. And this past lap, Nathan ran his first 1:31 in 14 laps. It was before he made his last pit stop. So finally picked up the pace a little bit. Maybe, the times he was behind John, he was saving a little bit, coasting into the corners. But at this point, I'm going to see what his lap time is to see if there's also any difference when it comes to what he's saving. This lap, Nobinger's going to cross the line, and he runs a 1:31.3 compared to Nathan's 1:32 flat. So yeah, at this point, I would say he's probably good to go on fuel. If he doesn't make it, that's a disaster. So we'll see. Carlson's going to need a lot to go right.
Mick Terrell running his fastest lap of the race at last lap, so there's still some time to be had out there as Terrell runs a 1:30.07. There's only been 2 cars under the 1:30 mark, and that is first and second place drivers. Dominic Ford with a 1:29.83, and Mason Smith with a 1:29.94. The rest of the field has been at 1:30 or more, but Nick Terrell, his fastest lap a couple laps ago, was done and is the 3rd fastest lap of the race here so far, but he's sitting in 4th place, as it is Ford, Smith, Schwartz, Terrell, and Pointer for your top 5. You got Renner, Nobinger, Nickerson, Randall, and Carlson for your top 10. So Jesse Francisco having some late race issues here. Just going off track here, dragging some more marbles onto the track, and then I think his tire's not clean. It slides off the track there.
Yeah.
And the woes kind of continue here for the 731 as looks like maybe he's just gonna maybe he's just gonna park it over there for the marshals now. Looks like he's gonna finally get back going here. And maybe he's just trying to drive through as much kitty litter as possible to really drag all that stuff out onto the track. And that's
maybe he's saying if I'm going off, so is everyone else.
kind of a dick move. I ain't gonna lie. But as it stands, it should be possibly 2 laps to go here. We'll take a look next time Dominic Ford crosses the line. He has got a 15.7 second lead overall. John Nobinger now out to about a 1.5 second lead over Nathan Nickerson. And James Molyneux has got a 16 second lead over Eric Martin in the bronze division. But it has been all Dominic Ford once again looking for win number 6.
Yeah, great run overall for Dom. I mean, it's definitely a refresher from some of the races he's been running the past few weeks. You know, tough not getting a win at a few, the ones that Mason got. But sure is a change of pace. Probably feels really good for him to be running up front here once again. Pretty much dominating this race. Led basically every lap. Pretty much all the ones except for that were pit stops and guys staying out long. So good run for him. Mason as well, sitting there P2, just don't quite have it this race here. Jonathan, I don't really haven't talked about him that much this race. Just a very quiet podium spot right now in P3 at the moment. Not really, doesn't have the speed up front that Dom and really that Mason has either. Just kind of content hanging on there in 3rd place and just walking out here with a podium. So good run for all these guys as of right now. And just did Dom take the right? I don't think
he did not. Yeah, we're at 2 laps to go right now.
Okay.
Just keeping an eye on Nathan Nickerson as the times. Well, it looked like the times were getting slower, but he actually turned in one of the fastest laps there, 131.15, as he tries to reel back at Nobinger, but Nobinger had a 130.91, so it's out to 1.6 seconds. Lead in the silver division and 7th and 8th place overall. But Dominic Ford coming around this time should see the white flag, so it's going to be 1 more lap left in the season once he crosses the line here, as we're getting close to that 2-hour mark. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and joining us for the season finale here for the Core GT series. If you haven't done so, hit that like and subscribe, get you in touch with everything that Syrian has to offer. Again, this is the last points-paying race for Core for the season, but we got a special event coming up on Saturday, another special event coming up on Monday, and then on December 29th, I believe. Take a look at dates here. Yeah, December 29th is going to be the King of Core playoffs, so the best of the best from Core in the second half of 2024 are going to battle it out to see who's going to be the king of the road, the king of the oval, and then ultimately the king of Core in 3 races on Sunday night on the 29th, and then the fun event for all the drivers here, what some of these drivers really look forward to all season, the Drivers' Cup on January 5th, and that's a fun event where there's captains, they get to draft their teams, and there's 4 different races where everyone can go out. Anybody that's run a race in Core for the season gets to get out there on the track and take part and try and score points for their team. So it'll be a fun one before we kick off the 2025 seasons. But Dominic Ford looking to finish out 2024 with another win number 6 on the season. It's going to get him to another title here. Not going to be any threat of losing. Came in and was pretty much a mathematical lock to get this thing done here. I mean, with the double points, there was a chance, but it would have been a snowball, and we'll just stop it there for him to not win the title. He is going to win it. It is the 91 on top of the boards once again. Dominic Ford, your winner here tonight, your champion overall and in the gold division. 2nd place. 17.5 seconds back. Mason Smith coming through the final corners here. He is going to grab a 2nd place finish here tonight. Certainly not too shabby at all. Good run here for the 6, and that should lock up the team championship for them as well. Jonathan Schwartz now coming through the final corners. He's going to grab the final spot on the podium here tonight. So another podium for the 199, and we'll see if he's back out out there again
Wow,
next
that was
season.
actually close. That was for actually position right there.
Oh, it was, yeah. I did not even notice that. Yeah, so
Me
by
neither.
by 3/300ths of a second, Jonathan Schwartz gets Nick Terrell at the line. Kelly Pointer now coming by. He is going to bring it home in 5th place, and we can tell you that John Nomier is your winner in the silver. Nathan Nickerson did make it to the end, and he's going to come home in 2nd in the silver. Eli Brandel in 3rd, and in the bronze, James Molyneux. We'll get to talk to him back-to-back weeks. He's got to be happy about that. He does it in the rain. Now he does it in a bit of an endurance race here as well. Eric Martin and Alex Jaspers rounding out the top 3 in the bronze. So we'll go ahead and once everybody is complete, looks like we're just waiting for a couple more to finish out their last laps. But before we do, I mean, again, I said how many times, Tyler, but a heck of a run by these guys. I mean, we still had 23 cars, I believe, at least 22, if not 23 cars still running at the end of this race.
Yeah, great run by all these guys. Long, grueling endurance race once again here to cap off the year. Fun racetrack to do it at. Had plenty of guys still running at the end. Still a decent amount. 6 cars on the lead lap overall as well here, but yeah, it was a good run for everybody. Really fun race there. And yeah, congrats to everybody on the champions. We'll see what they all have to say.
We will try and get them in here for their interviews in a second, but in the meantime, we'll take a look at the final results here from tonight. And your winner is going to be Dominique Ford, Mason Smith, Jonathan Schwartz, Nick Terrell, and Kelly Pointer for your top 5. Then you got Ricky Renner, John Nominger, Nathan Nickerson, Eli Brandel, and Brandon Carlson for your top 10. Jimmy Covert, Dave Tilford, Brandon Domain, Alan Gullison, Jake Jackson for the top 15. James Molyneux, Eric Martin, Alex Jaspers, Josh Betts, and Jesse Francisco for your top 20. And then rounding out the rest of the field is going to be John Crane, Terry Jansen, Alexander Hamrick, and Tyler Kokeko. Once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in here tonight. It was a longer one than they normally do, double the length, but also double the points. And I think we can pretty officially say, well, for sure, in the gold, it is going to go to Dominique Ford. Nathan Nickerson, unless we miss something crazy along the way when it comes to the drop races, should be your silver division champion. And then James Molyneux will end up being your bronze division champion. So we got quite a bit of interviews here. We're going to step aside for a second and get everybody lined up for their interviews, and then we will we'll get to it one more time. All right, it looks like we got everybody lined up for their interviews, and there's going to be quite a few of them with tonight's finishing order and then with the championships, but certainly all well-deserved, and we will go ahead and start with our top 3 first of all. And my mouse decides to wake up here. Looks like it fell asleep in these 2 hours, but we'll go ahead and start with our 3rd place finisher here tonight, and that is going to be the 199 of Jonathan Schwartz. Jonathan, another good run out here. You finished with another podium, so you can't really be too discouraged about that. But maybe just a little bit off compared to the 91 and the 6 here tonight, and didn't really have much for Mason and for Dom. Was it by plan? Were you just kind of playing a different fuel strategy, or what was the case here? You just maybe just a little bit off.
The plan was, if you want to be competitive, you drive the Acura. If you want to sit behind and just enjoy all the dirty air, then drive any other car. I mean, it's you may have seen some Acuras further down, and they may have had some difficulties. I think I saw some other guys that had fallen back. I'm not sure if Ricky was in it or not, but it looks like he was. But he tried to do some other strategy. Plus, I think he got a lot of incidents, which made him fall a bit back. But I mean, Mason and Dom, they're really solid. So if you give them any advantage, then you just have to expect them to perform better. And so I don't know if it's a mistake for me not to have bought the Acura. I mean, it's not like I bought it and chose not to drive it. It was just that I hadn't been able to afford it to buy it. So I was like, I'll just try to choose what I'm comfortable with. But it seems to be something that iRacing constantly does. They did it with the new Ferrari, then they did it with the new McLaren, where they make it faster than any other car for like a small period, and then to try and make people buy it, and then as soon as people buy it, then they nerf it back down. So I mean, it was present in qualifying. Those guys were a solid 3 to 4 tenths faster than like anyone else. So I mean, kudos to them. I mean, I feel like if I had driven it, I don't know if I would have been able to hang with Dom, but I feel like I definitely would have been able to get Mason. So I feel like I managed the best I could, but yeah, disappointing just to see the unequal performance of cars there.
Yeah, it's and you kind of hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's what iRacing does, that, like you said, to drive up the sales of the new car. They certainly don't want it to come out and be a dud out there, and nobody's going to want to buy it. So completely understandable. I'm actually surprised that there weren't more Acuras out there. I mean, we only counted, I think, 4 or 5 total out there. But I mean, either way, you had another good race out here, another podium. You finished the year strong. I mean, you only came in, starting, I believe it was race number 4 on the season, so you didn't have a full season with us. But you grab a few wins in your inaugural season. You grab plenty of podiums out there. I mean, what do we have in store? Will we see you out there for season 10?
Yeah, I definitely hope to be out there. Felt like I learned just a lot about what to expect in terms of managing tires on these runs and trying to save fuel and staying in draft in order to make that work, and just learning throughout the whole run, trying to improve, and especially with this new tire refresh, or the debris refresh, trying to avoid gravel, all these new things. I feel like we've just been experimenting with them now and definitely haven't mastered any of them. So yeah, definitely looking forward to next season, and hopefully can just manage everything a little bit better.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to what you can do with an entire season under your belt, and maybe not what everybody else and all your competitors want to see is you out there for the entire season. It's going to be tough to beat you, but congrats on your success this season and another podium here tonight. So before we let you go, who you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Aerokinetics once again. We ended up running in the blackout 12 hours last week, and ended up coming up to, I think, a P8 in class. So pretty proud of the team for getting that. And I feel like we ended up running the GT3, and so I feel like that helped me a lot for this 2 hours. So definitely huge shout out to them, as well as Nick Terrell had a super fun final lap dash with him to the line. So that was pretty awesome, as well as of course you guys in the broadcast booth and core of the whole league.
All right, buddy. Well, congrats again for this season. We're certainly looking forward to seeing what you can do in season 10, but take some time, enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you in 2025.
Thanks. Have a good holidays as well.
That is your third place finisher here tonight, the 199 of Jonathan Schwartz. Second place tonight is going to be the 6 of Mason Smith. Tyler, why don't you go ahead and take our second place finisher here tonight?
All right, Mason. Well, it was another solid run there for you. P2 here on the day. It looked like it was a pretty consistent run overall. You were pretty close to Don there earlier in the run, and then just as the race went on, just seemed like you didn't quite have it in the car there. Take us through the long, grueling race and what you think you needed a little bit more of to catch Dom.
More of strategy, perhaps, because I don't know if it's probably pace, because I was even on pace at one point, but I think he had faster pit time stops than I did, and even if we did the same strategy, he would still have a faster stop than I would. So yeah, strategy wise, probably gotta work on it a bit more to stay with him, but it felt good trying to stay with him. It's just, yeah, I think that's the ultimate thing that happened here.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting to watch. One thing that was a storyline that we talked about quite a bit there was the additional use of all the debris that got on the racetrack, including the marbles, any sand from the sand traps. I'm curious from a driver's perspective, was that kind of a worry as the race went on? Because it seemed like the more drivers, went out off the racetrack, the more it got on the racetrack. Was there any kind of worry that too much would be concerning, or really did it not matter?
I mean, I think it would have been, I guess, a little worriness if it's like, but it's mostly not on a racing line, so I think that's where it doesn't really matter. It's just just as long as there's like not too much to where the car doesn't have grip. But yeah, no, I think these guys they did a pretty good job staying on the track and not just building up all the debris and sand. So I think I was just really good. I wasn't too bothered about the debris. But yeah, they did a good job.
Well, Mason, it was a pretty solid race for you. P2 pretty much the whole day, and it was a good season overall there for you. Any quick shout outs you'd like to give before we let you go here to finish off the season?
To the family that watches, to 212 teammate Dom and the team, Mr. Parks. Appreciate you having me as a teammate and representing for 212.
All right, Mason. Well, we appreciate your time. Hopefully, it was a good race for you, and enjoy the holidays. And we will see you back hopefully for next season.
See you next season.
That is your second place finisher here tonight, the 6 of Mason Smith. Top dog here tonight for the race and for the season, for the gold, for the overall, for the whole enchilada. Either way, it is the 91 of Dominique for Dom. I think I said it before, but I think we just need to make it official and just change your first name to Dominator Ford. And I mean, you put another dominating performance out there here tonight. I think the only laps you didn't lead were just because of a pit cycle. I mean, you didn't even let your teammate lead a lap. I mean, that's kind of dirty. But I mean, just a fantastic race out there. 2 hours in the books here at the Red Bull Ring, and didn't look like it broke a sweat.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Credit to my teammate for sticking behind me there. He had a little bit of pace on me. I noticed his lap times were getting quicker, but I think our little system that we had was working out a little bit there. Me staying in front. My goal, I wanted to race with Mason so bad. I wanted to race with him around the track, but I wanted to get a lead as well. And when we finally got that lead, it was when we started catching lap traffic, and it just wouldn't work out. But overall, I mean, it was a great 2-hour race to end it.
So, I mean, you couldn't have started the season out any better. You win, well, the first half of the season. You win 5 races in a row to start out the season. Then you hit a bit of a lull. You almost get your 6th win at Road America, but the fuel gods didn't allow that to happen coming out of the last couple corners. But, I mean, you finally get your 6th win here at the last race of the season, and arguably the most important one. Double points on the line, double the length, and it wins you the championship, and for sure locks you in there. But 6 wins on the season. I mean, how does it feel to finally wrap up the season?
I mean, it's huge, of course, but it's it also feels great. I feel like since I've joined this league, I've always felt like I had the pace to race in the front. It just took me a long time to get up there. As you know, when I first joined, I was a menace out there on the track. So to see the difference in between then and now is it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is about, if it's the competition here, if it's the drivers or what it is, but I mean, we've seen so many different drivers come through, in the GT series especially, that you see the progress. I mean, we've seen the progress in so many different drivers, but you were definitely one of those. I mean, you came in here. There's a lot of times you had the pace, but you're running like maybe top 5 or something like that, and just made some mental errors here and there in your first couple of seasons that you could have easily had top 5s and maybe snuck into the podiums, but you slowly started to progress, and then all of a sudden those top 5s turned into podiums, and now it's turned into domination. It's certainly the fruits of the labor that you put in, because I know you put a ton of time in. I mean, you're not just racing in the GT series for core here. You're putting in a ton of time, and you're running all kinds of races, and I know you're looking forward to the Daytona coming up here in just a few weeks. But I mean,
yes.
just the season itself, 6 wins on the season. It's the second half of the season was not easy for you though, and I know you were certainly looking forward to the rain races. I mean, we talked about that ad nauseum, and that certainly played a part to maybe the struggles here in the second half. But it was certainly fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I can't say really nothing too bad about the season, but it was just fun. Last season was great. This season was great. And being able to win, this season is huge. I don't know as my future holds in this GT3, this section of the league, but I think I may just take a break and recuperate and maybe come back another time, but I don't know. I think we're just gonna leave on a high.
Yeah.
You're gonna let someone else have a chance? How nice of you.
He says that now. Yeah, we'll wait till the entries actually come in. But no, yeah, I know we talked to you before about maybe taking a break for next season, and we'll see if that if maybe a season 11 return is in the books, or what the case may be. I know we got the LMP2 series that's going to be starting up. We'll see if you get your name in the hat for that one, because that should be a fun little series out there. But either way, yes. Enjoyed your time here these last couple seasons, especially this season, and possibly your best season yet here. So great job out there, great season, great win here tonight. Who do you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Well, of course, like I say it every week, I'm going to continue to say it. Shout out to you guys in the broadcast. For 10 races, I've been going back and watching the broadcast, and it's been stellar to go back and watch. Even the ones that Tyler wasn't there for, it was still great to go back and watch them to see carnage. And of course, when you're here, it's great to watch that too.
Aww.
But yeah, I mean, shout out to Mason as well, my teammate, for assisting me, and me assisting him. We've been a great team. Since they came out with the team standings, I figure, what a better teammate to have than Mason Smith. He's fast as well. He's quick. He's consistent, and we were able to dominate both in the team's championship and the drivers' championship. So that's huge. Shout out to Nathan and Jesse for getting their division wins. I believe it was Nathan and Jesse, correct?
Yep, Nathan and Jesse, yep.
Yeah, Nathan and Jesse getting their division wins. That's big for them. Congratulations. And I hope to see the same guys, maybe even some more new faces in the start of next season.
All right, buddy. Well, either way, whether we see you or not, maybe you pop in for a race or two or something like that. Either way, it's been fun watching you out here, and I'm sure your competitors aren't exactly going to miss you too much. I'm sure they don't mind not seeing the back end of that 91 for a season at least. But congrats on your success, and we'll let you go. Have a happy holidays, and hopefully we see you at some point during 2025.
Yes, likewise. Have a good night. Happy holidays.
That is your winner here tonight, winner of the overall winner of the gold in the season number 9 here for the GT Series, the 91 of Dominique Ford. We're going to switch over now to your winner of the silver division here tonight, and that is going to be the 44 of John Nobinger. Tyler, why don't you go ahead and take John?
Well, John, it was another solid race for you, and no, not without any, craziness at the end? I don't even really know what was happening at the end. I don't know if there was fuel or
drive through and spun out, lost 13 seconds on everybody.
Yeah, I mean, plenty happened there. So, but it was still a great race. You brought it home in, what is that? Yeah, P7 there, and I believe it was the Silver Division Championship. So,
race win.
Yep. Sorry, thank you. Race win. Go ahead, take us through your whole your whirlwind of a race.
Just wound up having one little mistake early. Got behind Nathan and struggled to try to get around him cleanly, and he wound up pitting a little earlier. So started just doing the fuel thing, and then tapped the back of Elijah there and spun out and had to start pulling time back. And I think I only took 7 gallons of fuel there at the end, so gained about 9 seconds or so in out of the pits, I believe. So that was, that's the only reason I was that far up.
Well, the other thing that that was interesting was that battle at the end with you and Nathan. You kind of had it going on, had a good race with him there and with Braden as well, but then he had that drive-through penalty there towards the end, and then you ended up getting the pass on, and then you kind of didn't look back from there. Did you have it? I'm curious, were there any fuel worries there at any point at the end of that race, or were you just going all out?
I had enough to do another lap. So getting towards the end, if we would have gone one more, I would have had 1 or 2 big lift and coast to make it, because I ran out coming doing the cool down lap coming out of the final corner. So it would have been close.
Well, overall, that was a fun race, and you were even the first car 1 lap down. So, I mean, good for you. There's another stat for you, just to have for you. But yeah, it was overall good for you, and it was a Silver Division win. Any shout-outs you'd like to give there before we let you go?
To you and Carl there in the booth, and everybody that came out and made it all the way through the season. Obviously, the little battle we had there at the end for the Silver Division between Nathan and Braden. A couple of my mistakes and be a little different, but congratulations to them for being solid and having a good season.
We appreciate your time there, John. You enjoy the holiday season, and then we'll see you back in next season wherever you are.
Yeah, I think I'll be up in the booth with you on this one, Tyler.
All right, perfect. Sounds like a deal.
All right, we'll see y'all.
That is your Silver Division winner here tonight for tonight's race, the 44 of John Nobinger. For the season, the championship is going to go to Nathan Nickerson as he brings the 280 home, and not for a lack of drama at the end here. And it looked like you kind of had a stranglehold on the race here. You were ahead of Braden pretty much the entire time, and that's really the main person that you had to kind of keep an eye on as far as points here in the race, as with Nobinger being just a little bit too far behind, unless you had a major mistake here tonight. So it was really Braden that you were racing, but you had a nice solid lead on him until that lead started evaporating at the end. So take me through kind of the second half of the race when the lead started evaporating, and especially on that last run where it seemed like you were just either a little bit off pace or maybe trying to save fuel to make it to the end.
Yeah, definitely. At the start of the race, I told myself, hey, I'm not going to make it on fuel, so let's just push as hard as we can and then see where we can get, kind of like we did at Spa. And going into that third leg of the race, I quickly realized I wasn't going to make it. And at that point, I think I had a pretty comfortable lead, so I could afford to bleed off some time. And so I started fuel saving the last probably 50 minutes when I pit, and somehow made it to the end. Ran out of fuel 2 corners after the flag flew. But as Nobinger got closer and closer, I just had to save fuel. I couldn't battle with him, so it was tough.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. I mean, just looking at your times compared to what you could run, and you seemed like you were just running 142 or 132, consistently. And I'm assuming for the last maybe 10, 15 laps of the race, it seemed like you were on fuel save mode to make it to the end.
Oh yeah, and I was running behind lappers at that point, so Alan Golson in like 14th, and then Josh Betts was in the mix as well. And Josh is like, "Hey, go past me." I'm like, "I can't go past you, man. I gotta save more fuel."
In fact, stay in front of me so I can get your draft. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So, I mean, obviously, nobody gets by you at the end, but how much were you worried when you seen that the number 50 of Carlson start to creep up there and have a chance of coming up there and passing you before you had that pass-through penalty?
I was actually really worried about it. So Braden was catching me lap by lap, and I know he got on the off cycle a couple laps ahead of me on fuel. So I knew as he was getting closer, I had to try to not let it get too close, but he ended up pitting towards the end. And yeah, once Snowbinger got close, I knew he would probably make it. He's really good on the pit strategy.
Well, Braden actually, he didn't pit. That was a drive-through penalty he had to serve. So he never even came into the pit. So yeah, that's actually, yeah, he wasn't coming into the pit to get fuel. So yeah, it was a shame for him, but it helped you win this championship. I mean, like I said, it got a little bit hairy, a little bit tight there at the end. I mean, just coming into tonight's race, 6 points separating you and Braden. It's nice to come into that finale with a little bit of a buffer, 6 points, but double points on tap here tonight. So, I mean, one little mistake and 2 positions is all that it meant. So how much was that weighing on your mind tonight?
Is actually quite a bit, especially there at the end. Yeah, if he didn't get the drive-through, then that could have definitely went different, maybe tying points at the end. But going into it, qualifying literally right in front of him, next to each other on the start, who knows what could have happened. But luckily it went well.
All right, buddy. Well, congrats on the season, on the championship. Before we let you go, who do you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Yeah, shout out to the next gen cars out there. Always fun battling with them. Crofton Woodhatch for helping me practice before the race, and Alex and Ricky throwing up practice sessions beforehand really helps a lot. And then the fam if they're watching.
All right, buddy. Congrats on the Silver Division Championship this season.
Oh, one more shout out too.
Go ahead.
Right to Braden as well. Team Bill Stein, second place overall as well. So awesome season.
All right, buddy. Well, have a happy holidays. I'm sure you're waiting just as we are for 2025 to get around the corner and get this season kicked off once again.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much.
That is your Silver Division Championship winner for season number 9 at the 280 of Nathan Nickerson. We'll head over now to the Bronze Division, and quite possibly, Tyler, one of the happiest interviews you're going to get is back-to-back top finisher in the Bronze Division, the 94 James Molyneux.
Yeah, James, congratulations. A good run there for you. And P16 with the win in the Bronze Division. Go ahead, take us through your race.
Thanks, guys. It was just really a struggle. I wasn't finding the pace that I thought I had in practice on Sunday, but then I wasn't able to practice all week because I've been sick. And Jesse was way ahead of me for quite a while, and about halfway through the race, he DC'd. And then when he came back, he was like a lap down, and it just, Alex and I battled it out there for a little while. It became the battle of, all right, who's going to get the most penalty drive-throughs? I think I had 2. I think he had 3. It was just a matter of trying to keep it on the track. I was getting off tracks like crazy.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I'm curious about when it comes to this racetrack, well, it's kind of a simple racetrack, but again, I've mentioned this in the broadcast a few times that there's minor things that you could do that could really screw up a lap. And I mean, that's the crazy thing about this racetrack. And you were driving the Acura today, which is still relatively new, and everybody, still trying to get a feel for. So how did the car feel at this racetrack?
The first pit stop, I took all 4s. The second pit stop, I'm like, I'm going to try just taking fronts because the car, for me, it pushes really hard, very understeery. I thought I'll just take new fronts, and then about halfway through that stint, the rears started to give way, and I spun it. I know I spun once on that stint. So then the last stint, I took, 4 tires. and then spun again. But other than that, it's still a lot more stable than the Vet. So, I'll stick with it and see if I can learn how to make it turn. Dom helped out with a little bit of brake bias advice, which helped a lot. It does turn better with a little bit higher brake bias, but it's still very understeery.
Well, it was still, even if it was understeery, it still was enough for you to get the win there in the bronze division. Good race for you there. Any quick shout outs you'd like to give before we let you go?
Yeah, I got to do it right this time. So obviously you and Carl for doing the broadcast, all the core guys, for helping me out as much as they do between technical issues and getting better at this. And then of course, my number one, my wife, who, gets behind me with allowing me to really drive into this passion and, supports me with it.
All right, James. Well, we really appreciate your time there. Congrats on the win in the bronze division. Have a good holidays, and we'll catch you back for next season.
Thank you. You as well.
That is your bronze division winner here tonight, the 94 of James Molyneux. Last interview we will have is your bronze champion this season, and that is going to be the 731 of Jesse Francisco. Jesse, you had this thing on lock. You had an easy win in the bag for the race, an easy walkthrough for the championship, and then all of a sudden, your internet, computer, whatever it might have been, just kind of gives you the middle finger mid-race.
Yeah, that was a bit shocking to say the least. I started noticing that now I'm not seeing the cars and track around me. My relatives starting to go all crazy, and kind of knew it was only a matter of time before it was eventually going to boot me out. So yeah, I spent a couple of minutes trying to figure out what was going on. Originally, it wouldn't even let me back into the session. So, but yeah, just had to take a little bit of time as I finally got it to load back in. Just had to take a little bit of time just to reset and try not to make any more stupid mistakes, which wasn't entirely the case, but we still managed, and luckily kind of the buffer that I had going into this helped me out. I definitely needed it going into tonight.
So I'm not going to ask you what words were said because this is a family show, but I mean, when you got kicked out of the session there, I mean, what was going on in your head? I mean, what were you thinking? Is this going to cost me the championship? Like, what is going on? It could happen the worst time.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. There's definitely, trying to, but in the moment, you're trying not to think too hard about, what could be. You're just trying to make sure that you can get back into the session, do the best job that you can. I kind of let some of my anger out after the race. That's when I let it go. But at that point, you kind of got to just deal with it. That happened. So, yeah, it was definitely not something I want to have happen again. We'll see if there was some. I might have to check to see if there was an actual issue that happened. But I got lucky, and at the end of the day, brought it home and. So still got the championship out of it. Yeah.
I gotta ask you about one of the final issues of the night here in the S turn in Worth 2. You spin it going in there.
Yeah.
It looked like you grabbed a little bit of kind of debris and then all of a sudden you spin and you start like backing up and like I didn't know if you were trying to retire the car and helping the marshals out so they didn't have to push it back in the corner there or what was going on. All of a sudden you take off. So walk us through the mindset of what was going on there.
Yeah, well, I spun at probably the worst spot. I parked it at probably the worst spot, and where it was kind of the apex of the second S, and people are flying through there, and I'm watching my relative. Obviously, people are closing in. I'm trying my best to get out of the way, and then when everybody kind of moves past, and I'm clear of them. I'm trying to, obviously, with the new gravel update, I'm trying to make sure that I keep all the gravel that I'm inevitably going to put back on the track. I'm trying to keep it as far off the racing line as I can, but wasn't perfect with it. And obviously the 2 hours started to get to me a little bit, as well as the frustration of having the DC earlier in the race. That was just, I think I just dipped the tire or something and just didn't have the grip going into the next corner.
Well, either way, with the way the race finished here, it was going to be enough unless Betts kind of really woke up in that second half of the race to make a charge to the field that you were going to have this championship locked up. And you mentioned you had a nice little buffer coming in. How much of the race here tonight were you driving, kind of thinking about that championship, or were you just trying to make sure you hit your marks and try and keep it on track as much as possible?
Yeah, it's a big thing, and I've talked to a lot of guys just keeping it, the off tracks here can be brutal if you just take a little bit too much. So trying to minimize that, obviously, I got lucky not having to take a drive throughout the entire race, so that was nice. But other than whatever you want to call the DC, but I mean, just trying to stay clean. Obviously, I was racing with some guys in the silver division, but you didn't want to force the issue too much because you knew that if something were to happen, you make one stupid mistake and your day could be done, and that could be the championship for me. So I wasn't necessarily trying to race those silver guys too hard. I knew that I kind of had a gap in bronze. So again, just kind of hitting your marks, not really trying to push it too hard. Obviously the mindset had to change after that, and I had to make sure that that I could get as many positions as I could after the DC happened. But at the end of the day, just don't put yourself in a worse spot than you're already in. So, but that kind of was how I was looking, and I think it was looking good. But at the end of the day, it all worked out.
Yeah, and taking a look at the final points results here, it actually was James Molyneux and Josh Betts ended up finishing tied 14 points behind you. So even Molyneux made a late charge in the season to try and catch up to you. But you finish top 20 overall in the standings, and for your first season in here, you come in here, you grab a Bronze Division championship. How good does it feel?
It was good. Had a rough start to the season. Obviously, had a rough finish to the season, but just having. But it's been fun. I've really enjoyed this series. Looking forward to hopefully doing it next year. Really appreciate you guys doing the broadcast too. It's been great. You talk about James coming on late in the season. He ran really well today. He ran extremely well last week. In the rain in Spa, he's been fun to race with, and it's just been a good time.
Well, good job on the championship here and your first season. Again, it's certainly make sure you get the computer gremlins all figured out before 2025 hits for sure. But before we let you go, who do you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Yeah, obviously thanks to you guys at CRN and Core putting on a great league. Big shout out to my UNOH guys. Getting up some practice sessions, helping me out, making sure that I have a decent understanding of the track before I go into it. I've had a bad habit of not doing the proper practice before I get into some of these things. So those guys kind of help me out and keep me accountable in a sense. Helps out. Jack Peterson got mad the one time that I didn't individually shout him out, so I'll give him a shout out. He may or may not be listening right now. I don't know. But all the guys back here, and obviously you guys at Core.
All right, buddy. Well, congrats on your Bronze Division championship. Hope you have a happy holidays and get some rest for season number 10 coming up in 2025.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
That's your Bronze Division champion for the season 9, the 731 of Jesse Francisco. That is going to do it for the season here for the Core GT series. Again, they're going to be starting up season 10 in just a few weeks on January 9th. So there's still time to get your applications in there, get yourself into the race, or just get yourself ready on the CRN side here by hitting that like and subscribe and get you in touch with everything that CRN has to offer. We got a special event coming up on Saturday, another one on Monday, so stay tuned for those. This is going to do it for all of our points races for the season. But again, stay in touch with CRN because we got some of the fun ones coming up here with the special events on the horizon here for the holidays. But if we don't see you in the meantime, have a happy holidays. We're certainly looking forward to 2025 already. But for myself and Tyler here at the Red Bull Ring, we'll see you at the track.